Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the celebratory live stream. We're doing this live stream as a celebratory event to congratulate all the people who have, while trying their darndest, I will give them that, they have tried their utmost. I mean, spent blood, sweat, tears, hours, minutes, days on in and in Discord servers between text now apps and hacking apps and uh, breaking into people's Facebooks and by calling and harassing, sending things in the mail, and disturbing someone else's loved one, relatives at Christmas. From all their hard work and dedication, these people have not vilified me, people, but they have now vindicated me. Let me tell you why. I'll share all with you why. And I want to share with you why. Hold on, let me make this. Yeah, okay. I want to share with you all how this vindicates me. Okay. The way this vindicates me is the fact that through all of this, not one time have I ever. Okay, hold on. How do I word this? Okay. Through all of this, through the nervous breakdowns and everything they put me through, not one time, except for once, did I think about relapsing and got close. One time that did happen. But not one time at all did I ever think in my head or off air, because of all this, anything negative about myself. If y'all know what I'm talking about. I never thought that, even though they would call in. Cops had been here before those cops came the other day. They had been here several times when I was just streaming and nothing was said. And people know because they've been in here in the streams with it, and they said, you didn't say anything. Like, you know, I'm not even. I want to talk about, hey James, I want to talk on January 19th about some things, but I'm scared to, because I'm scared that just by talking about certain things, that that's going to give people the excuse to call again, and I don't I don't want that. So, but let me tell you how this vindicates me. So they got me to go to a place, right? Well, I went there. I passed with flying colors. That place was not just to evaluate me mentally, but it evaluated my blood, my urine, my day to day, how I acted, how I interacted with the staff. Did I did I go to group? Did I just stay in a corner and cry the whole time? How did I react? They determined all that. They determined it so well that when the nurse told me the day before, or the nurse practitioner told me the day before, you will most likely be getting out tomorrow, the next day she did exactly that. And not only that, I had somebody go out their way to help get me discharged and get out of there quicker, because I was about to lose my mind if I stayed in there another day. It was hard keeping it together. It was. I mean, when you're not with your dog, when you're stripped, you have nothing. You don't have your vape. I know people think that this is nothing, but to people that quit smoking cigarettes like I did, this is like a lifeline in a way to me. Like, I can't stand not having my vape around. And I can't stand not being with my dog. And that's the freedom. Freedom is important to me. And people have talked about this whole time when I've been complaining about people abusing and harassing me and making degenerative videos about me, saying that it's our free speech. We can, well, you're right. You can, to an extent. But I also have the freedom of speech to talk about your ludicrous and malicious tactics and efforts and deceits that you've done. And you don't get to get mad and fake call in stuff like elder abuse. That was a false elder abuse call. I hope you know. It, I hope it gets filed as that because, you know, and yeah, I know you sent him a lot of my old stuff he saw. He told us that he'd seen some things where I talked, that and he said that y'all had the freedom of speech and I had the freedom of speech. But here's the thing about it. Y'all can't say that because just whatever I do on here, even if I'm talking about one of you, that does not give you the right to break the law and contact me when I've told you several times not to contact me. My grandfather's told you individually not to contact him. Now, if you want to keep making videos and do with me on here, you can do that all day long. But you don't get to break the law and call my granddad or me. You don't get to break the law and send us text messaging and phone harassment. You don't get to call in false calls to the police. I did worry about my grandfather. Miss Andrea knows if that is you. I got sidetracked, but yeah, while I was in there, I could not stop thinking about my grandfather, my dog, my vape, my freedom, just the lack of freedom and not knowing that I can't be around my family. You don't think that hurt me? You know what? I need to get her out of here. Anyways, so like I said, you don't have the right to do any of that stuff. And I mean, now if you continue it up, it really is going to be like they will have no choice but to take it up criminally because like I just got released by a doctor. Like, you guys can't turn around and say, oh, he's crazy again. Like, really? I mean, you could try. You could. But, I mean, I don't think that would go well. I don't know what LARPing is because I'm a nerd, but I'm not that much up on nerding. Will you get rid of that Andrea Knows Wolfsack? Hey, she's in here trolling. That was all I was thinking about was my dog, my grandpa, and then the lesser things, of course. Yeah, my vape, because fucking oh, I'm a LARP, huh? Well, takes one to know one, I guess. Remember that. Piece of shit. I do too have a family. I have a family. I have a family that loves me. My stepmom may have my relationship with my dad on the outskirts, but you know, sometimes time heals everything, and especially family blood is always going to be thicker than water. Don't care what anybody tells you. And you guys cannot make me out to be some villain that needs to be separated from the only family member who has gave a shit and had me since I was 3 years old. Except for whenever I lived with my dad and the times I lived alone and etc. But he has always had a house, and if I needed to come home for whatever reason, whatever happened, things I couldn't control. I couldn't control that my stepmom didn't like me and that she didn't want me there anymore. When I was working a minimum wage job, I couldn't just get a house. I had no credit or anything. So what I do, I, like the responsible, 21-year-old, went to my friend's place, and I said, hey man, I said, this is what happened to my dad and mom. I was like, look, I was like, I'm probably going to have to go home to Missouri, but I'm not trying to go home right now. Otherwise, that would have to involve me asking my grandparents for money and all that. I said, I could work. I said, if you could let me stay here for just 2 weeks, I said, man, that'd mean the world to me. And I said, and I'll pay you a slice of what I make. And he said, oh man, you ain't got to do that. And he let me stay on his couch. And I stayed there on his couch, and I went to work, finished up that, and gave my 2 weeks notice the next day, said I've got to move. And so I finished out that next 2 weeks, got my paycheck. I gave dude $100 anyways. He didn't want it, but I gave it to him anyways, because that's what stand-up men do. And then I left, and I drove all the way back home. Now, I've always been responsible. I've always been responsible. And the fact that I just passed that evaluation and everything, and the fact that I was able to survive and come up out of that, and I didn't catch any charges for like going at police officers or anything like that, like they made it out to seem like I was threatening to do. I don't know what else to tell you. That's alright, Wolfsack. Hey, Stormy, how you doing? I want to check out some of this blue. I got some popcorn left of it. That's pretty, ain't it? It's a pretty little nug. Some pretty nugs. Pretty nugs. Yeah, I'm supposed to be continuing school. I'm waiting for an email back from my instructor. She had class yesterday, so she didn't get back with me yesterday. I haven't checked the email yet, but she may have already got back with me by now. As long as that didn't ruin it. If she says I've missed too much or whatever, or that I missed 2 classes in a row, even if I have an excuse, I don't know. My school may be messed up. And if it is, that's the only thing you people succeeded on. And all I can tell you this is you only succeeded this time. Because when I go to my voc rehab person and I explain all this to her, and like, it doesn't mean they won't let me go back on next semester. See? So you guys, and I really hope that they didn't. I really hope my school is fine. And when I say they messed it up, I'm talking about the people that went out of their way to make sure I got committed. There's 2 of them, Tweedledee and Tweedlefucking-Dum, and their uncle Filthy. Fucking pieces of shit. Man, may God never do that to y'all. May that never happen to y'all, seriously. I'm talking to my audience. I ain't talking to you, Filthy. But may God never do that to any of y'all or anyone else ever try to perpetuate that on anybody like y'all. Because that is just wrong. That is just a wrong thing to do. I mean, it's... You can say it's for it was for your own good, blah 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 blah, all you want to, but it really wasn't, because like I said, I just seen my doctor and therapist, 2 appointments with mental health providers the day beforehand, and had my medicine counted the day beforehand. And then you're going to tell me with a straight face that the very next day I go live, I decide to snort Ativan on live for y'all to all see and get clipped. And not only that, I'm passing out from ODing, and I talked about doing crazy stuff? Really? But that's what y'all said. That's what y'all said. And guess what? Not a motherfucking word of it was true. And you ought to be so damn ashamed of yourselves. You ought to not even log on here for a while. Yeah, get CPR out of here. They had to get rid of them before. That's somebody that's not, uh, that's somebody it's got a hacking software. Because they've already been hidden once. I don't have a job right now because number one, I live in a rural area. The jobs are scarce and far in between. Number two, we are sharing one vehicle, and I am planning to go to school so that then I can get a job because I'm in a program that is committed to getting me into a job as soon as I finish my school. Within less than 3 months after I finish my college, I will be placed in a job somewhere working with benefits. If I can get to school without being interrupted anymore by having the fucking police called to my house for no fucking reason. Yeah, well, I explained it anyways, because these people want to try to make me look like I'm some fucking bum or that I'm living off Grampy and abusing him and stuff, and that's such bullshit. It's such bullshit. Y'all have no idea what I try to do and help him with. There's only so much a person will allow you to do for them when they're old and they want to stay independent. And I thank God he is independent. Because if he wasn't in as good health as he is right now, you know what? I may have to be doing more for him, and I wouldn't be able to do my schooling probably. And then I wouldn't have a future, but I don't care. I would give all that up if he needed me to be by his side 24/7. That's why I'm here, is in case he needs me for anything serious, especially. But for little stuff too, like doing the dishes, which I do, the laundry and stuff. I do those things so my grandpa don't have to worry about them. And he still worries about them anyway. I can't make him not be who he is. And Filthy trying to think that he could get me kicked out of where I live for this, when the state constitution just made it recreational legal as well, and the constitution specifically states we have to be indoors to use this. Bro, and no federal law is going to be enforced here unless a federal officer unless somebody wants to risk a $50,000 fine. Yeah, so you can fuck off with that one too, Filthy. I know he don't, but he thinks he does. And they show him allegiance. But you're right, he doesn't technically have control over them. They could all just stop. And you're really pressing it, Filthy, by like, I know you want to get an emotional reaction out of me, but you're not. He'll tell me if you keep calling, and we'll keep logging it, and everything will be handled offline. You're not getting your reaction content anymore. Sorry. Not sorry. That's what that whole last live was about. It was about showing you, dude, that I could look you in the eyes face to face if you came here. I'm not telling you to come here. I said if, hypothetically, you came here, I would look you face to face in the eyes and say, what? But no, that is not an invitation to come here. I know. And see, they're not trolls once they go to the point of wanting to ruin someone's lives. I'm smoking on Blue, Blou, Blue. But see, they fucked up on that one because while I am weak in some ways and I may appear physically weak, and I am, but mentally and spiritually, I am strong as an ox. And they cannot fucking tear that down. I don't care what they try. And trust me, they have broken my mental fortitude. They have done that in the past. But you know what? They didn't do it. I let them. See, I was letting them. And I had to realize that. And maybe by some karmatic way, maybe in some karmatic way, I think God allowed me to realize it while I was in there, so that when I came out, I could have this attitude. Yeah, it's an indica dominant hybrid by Sinse, Sinse. They're out of St. Louis. Um, hold on just a second. Oh no, I hate when I do that. But yeah, this is it right here. That's blue. Here's the shit. Oh no, you're cool, Wolfsack. I know. Physically, I am. I mean, I've got disabilities, mentally and physical. So, I mean, I'm not lying that I'm weak physically, but it does not mean I would not be scared to confront them face to face. And I definitely am not weak spiritually or mentally anymore. Here a while back, I was very mentally weak. They wore me down. Just like that video I reacted to about that girl talking about how that guy wore her down till she ended up giving in to him. Well, they wore me down till they got me acting like their little puppet there for a while and reacting to everything. And they don't have that on me. Not anymore. I could give a shit if they're live sniping. I could give a shit what they think. What I'm gonna want to know is that when I'm streaming and I got my diploma in one hand, and I got keys to my new car in the other hand, and I got a big ass middle finger in my other hand, and I'm smiling from ear to ear, and I got my bridge in, and you can see me actually smile for once. I wonder then what you're gonna think then. You're gonna think, damn, why have I been spending all my time on this shit? I should have been doing shit like he's doing. Oh, wait, that's right. You already have. This is your hobby. I forgot. You guys are fucked up. Oh, shit. You should really pick up new hobbies, though. More healthy hobbies. Like, they've got bungee jumping. They've got all sorts of stuff. Filthy, you sound like an older gentleman. Maybe you would like going kayaking or, hell, hunting. I don't know. It's got to be something other that you get your rocks off on or will enjoy doing other than tormenting somebody younger than you, or trying to now. Because at this point, you're not even tormenting me anymore. Neither is Fusion. None of you are. Especially Miss Morbidly Obese Boss Lady Bird, which I am not afraid to say because I have free speech, remember? Yeah, yeah. And I don't think anyone's going to get mad at me for saying that, except the people that already get mad at everything I do no matter what. So, I'm fixing to go fix lunch, guys. I'll tell you this, I'm extremely grateful and happy to be home. And even though the devil tried to even work harder, because I got upset earlier. Yeah, once I knew that that was a criminal investigator with Health and Senior Services out there talking to my granddad, yeah, I got upset because I could not believe the audacity. But, I just left him alone to talk. I didn't want to hover really or be there much. I did introduce myself, tell him a few things about the situation from my perspective so he could hear it, but after that I got out the way. Hell, I didn't even know they were out there talking. I just all of a sudden once looked outside and seen Grandpa was still outside and he wasn't gone and there was somebody out there talking to him. And that did get me a little bit. I'll admit that. I'm not afraid to admit that. I got upset because never in my life would I ever physically or psychologically, any type of way, manipulate that person, my granddad. Number one, I wouldn't even know how to or where to begin because in gematria, the way to appeal to a person is you have to, and me and him are exactly alike. So that's like almost impossible. We have the same birthdays. We're born both on the same month and day of the year. And people may not think that means shit, but it does. And so because of that, there's just a certain level of we're going to be how we are with each other. Like, we will sometimes have arguments and stuff, but other than that, and they're usually not arguments. They're usually like he says one thing and I say, well, let me try to help do it this way, make it easier on him. And he says, no, I prefer to do it and does it his way. That's petty. That's no big deal. But this thing of like physical or financial or any other type of abuse is just baloney if they try to accuse that. It certainly isn't cyber abuse. I don't make him. Every time he's made a video, he asked, can I say something on there? Yeah. Now, though, he just, he don't want to be on it, so I don't put him on it. And there were times where he didn't understand that we were already on there and I was already on there, and he was saying, well, I don't want to be on there. And I was like, well, it's a little late for that, Grandpa. You already did a video. He's like, well, he had forgot about it because he's old. So I did not force him to be on YouTube. I did not at all. First, I asked if he wanted to say something. He said no. I said okay. And then he said he wanted to say something, and I let him. And then he said, and I asked him if he would say something else. He said yeah. And that's the one where I had to say now because it was a short, and I had to tell him when it was starting to film. And people say when I say now, it's like I'm abusing him, like telling him now. And no, it's not. It was just me saying, like, if I didn't say now, I should have said action. That was the only difference. That was what I was saying, was action. But not for us to put on a front to say something honest and true. And those videos will remain up. Especially the one when he's on the phone with Filthy Animal. Yeah, if you're watching cops, if the HPD is watching, I'd hope you'd go investigate Mr. Fusion TV, otherwise known as I've heard, and I've heard this on the internet, so it's not doxing, but I believe his name is AKA Michael Gandy, and so you need to investigate him, and you need to investigate a fella by the name of Matthew. I forget his last name at the moment, but his name is MC Lamahawk then. They are a part of this group. And they need to be investigated. There's just no bones about it. They have called and harassed and done things that have broken Missouri state statute laws. And if you guys truly care about the law like you do, you would investigate them. Not for me, but for my grandfather's sake. Maybe a little bit for me too, because I have been harassed. Even though I know you guys don't give a shit about me, that's fine. I do still care about y'all. I know we need our cops. I don't hate the Hayti Police Department. I don't. I worked with it when I was younger, and they helped me when I got hacked back then by those people in Canada. And when they got DDoSed, it became federal. So I thought, well, surely when they're fucking making up accounts under Haiti's name, Haiti will get involved. I guess Haiti's under new management, and I pissed new management off. So I apologize for that, even though I don't feel like I should have to, because the police are supposed to protect and serve the citizens of where they're located. They're not supposed to harass and terrorize the citizens where they're located by people in other counties and jurisdictions. Sorry, Army, but it's the truth. I don't hate the Haiti police. I just wanted them to do their job. And they have completely and utterly failed me and my grandfather in that job. So we're going to be taking the case up with the Highway Patrol next and talking to a legal liaison through my behavioral health team, because that's our only other options now. Aside from that is to go to the prosecutor directly, which we do have a new prosecutor, so maybe something will get changed now, because there's a reason why we have a new prosecutor, and it's not even election season. Yeah, Wolfsack. Well, when they investigate themselves, it's hard to get that figured out. And you never know when an investigative committee it becomes a coup committee. Hey, Nina. I'm doing okay, sweetheart. Thank you for asking. I'm just a little upset that these people have tried to take me down so much, and they've actually vindicated me. This is really a celebration stream because they have vindicated me so much. By doing all they've done, they've put me through all the tests and the ringers, and I came out, and they can't deny, even though there's no quote receipt, the fact that the doctor signed off to let me out shows that my levels and tests were all clear, and that not only that, my mood and affect and personality was clear and everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been released. Because there was a guy that was there that they had talked about releasing, or she had thought that they had talked about releasing, and then they changed their mind and they said they wanted to keep her another day, and that man pissed her off, and she went and slammed her door and some more shit. And if you do that, they will give you a shot of Haldol with Benadryl and whatever medicine you usually take. And like, when I first came in, not the first night, but yeah, it was the first night. I woke up and I started to shake because I didn't have my medicine. And I said, "You guys aren't giving me my medicine." I said, "This is wrong." I said, "I don't even deserve to be here." And I did get agitated, and I called this one woman a bitch. And I said, "You're all just fucking liars." And I went to my room, I closed the door, and I opened it back up, and I said, "I'm sorry." And I closed the door, and I went and I laid down. Next thing I know, they were in there, four of them around me. One, two, three, four. Four security guys and a nurse. And she says, "Do you want this in your arm or your leg?" I was like, "My arm, please." I said I was sorry. She said, "I know, but the doctor's already ordered it. And you made us call it in by the way you were acting." And so I said, "What am I getting?" She said, "Some Ativan, Benadryl, and Haldol." I said, "Yeah, the Haldol's to not make me crazy." I said, "It's going to make me go to sleep." She said, "Yeah, you're probably going to take a nap." And they gave it to me, and then, yeah, I slept. But actually, I'm kind of glad I got that, because had I not got that, I wouldn't have slept as long as I did, which means I would have been awake more and suffered more, which is probably what the people of the good old Workyverse wanted. So I did wake up eventually and started to shake. By then it was Sunday. I couldn't do nothing about it. They were giving me my Ativan, so that helped my withdrawals a little bit. But I still had that opioid withdrawal, and my legs were tightening and clenching up. My heart was racing. My heart was at a steady 120 every time they took it. I said, "You guys," and my blood pressure was getting higher and higher. I said, "You guys are going to cause me to have a heart attack." They said, "That's not how opioid withdrawal works." They said, "We have a protocol for opioid withdrawal." I said, "Well, can you initiate it?" They said, "The doctor has to." I said, "Well, can you tell him?" They said, "Well, you have to have signs of withdrawal." I said, "Am I not?" And they said, "Not severe enough yet." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." And by the next day, it started getting worse and worse. And finally, my nurse came to me. She said, "Hun," she said, "don't worry." She said, "The doctor ordered we got a hold of your pharmacy and your doctor and spoke to them. And we also talked with your behavioral health team. And we're getting, the doctor ordered, she's not going to give you your 3 a day, but she's going to give you 2 of the Suboxone a day." And she said, "Because we only have Suboxone, we don't have Subutex." And I said, "Oh, I don't care." I said, "Just please, just so I can stop withdrawing. Thank you." And she said, "I'm fixing to get it right now." And she went, she got my medicine, she gave it to me, and oh, I could finally calm down. I finally started to relax. Like, then I could eat. Then I started to eat. Then I started to be a little bit more normal. And then later on, I got another dose and my Ativan, and I ate more and I was normal. And I took the Risperidol. And even though I took the Risperidol in there, the reason why I stopped taking it out here is because it made me foggy. It made my mental faculties worse. It made me feel almost like I was drugged while I was in there. Like I could not articulate and explain things the way I am right now if I was still taking it. And I still feel some mild effects of it still because it's not been that long since I took the last dose, which was yesterday. But that shit is not cool, man, to have to be forcibly admitted into a psychiatric hospital. This shit is not cool. It's not cool. It's not nice. It's downright evil to do that to somebody. I'm not a harm to myself or anyone around me at all. I would never be a harm to anyone around me or myself. I learned that lesson 3 years ago, this 19th of January. Because if I didn't, then I would have never seen my grandparents again. And I would have never seen Saul again. And I would have never been able to see and meet Brownie. And I did. I chose life. And I picked up the phone. I called Kennett PD. I called for help. I got the help I needed. And I'm the one that said yes to the psychiatric place after I had surgery and was in ICU. I'm the one that said yes to the substance abuse treatment after I was done with my psychiatric eval for 30 days, my stay. And they wouldn't let me have a razor or nothing. I was all scruffed up, and it wasn't until the last day I was getting discharged would they finally give me a regular disposable razor so I could shave my face. You know, I had staples all up and down my legs and in my arms, and I had stitches all up and down my arms and legs and staples because I had cut myself so deep on my legs and my arms and everything. That was all back in 2019. And I done that one time. I have never done that in my life before, and I never will again. And you can take that to the bank. That's a fact, Jack. This little guy right here depends on me. And I don't want to put him off on my grandpa. Luckily, my grandpa was able to feed him. But he didn't get any of his vitamins while I was gone, you know? So I had to make sure he got his vitamins today. And we're going to have to reschedule his training. He missed his training because of that. You know? But y'all don't give a shit about that. Y'all just been just straight mean for no reason. Just evil and just hating on a motherfucker. Just hate me cause you ain't me? Or do you hate me because you just wish I didn't exist? Well, look, hey, me and you sometimes may argue in that department, but either way it goes, I'm here. You know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm on YouTube. I'm not going to be reacting or making a fool out of myself and letting you capture that on camera anymore. I can guarantee you that. 110%, buddies. Shout out to the No Live Mike crew and No Live Mike wives. Fuck the fakes. I only want the reals in here. Iceman is cool to be in here. Dumb Genius is cool to be in here. I don't care what they've done to who or whoever. That's what y'all have always told me. Don't get your stuff mixed in with my stuff, well, I'm gonna adopt the same policy now. Don't bring that shit up in here. Because your ass will be thrown out like the trash. Like, we're not doing that shit. Ain't gonna be no rules for me, not for these shit here. It's gonna be the rules and what's not the rules. And what's not the rules is not gonna be made into the rules, and what is the rules is not gonna be made to what's not the rules. So get that through your thick heads. Like Wolfsec said, number one, trolls are not allowed. He got that right on the head. Thank you, bud. Shit. That's why I like Wolfsec. And Wolfsec, if you and No Life Mike's people could come to an agreement or liking, that'd be cool. If not, if y'all could just stay clear of each other, that'd be cool too. I ain't trying to get involved in that. I ain't got no one way. You don't have to do one way or the other. I'm just offering it up as a suggestion. Hey Jen, how you doing, hon? How you doing, sweetheart? I wanted to show y'all a strain. This strain right here by Rogue. It's a new company. Rogue Green. This is KC Brulee. Oh my god. Look at that strain. That strain is delicious, y'all. I'm not going to indulge any right now, though, because I already had a smoke earlier. Oh, my leg, man. Fucking leg. I tell you, man, my leg is hurting so much more now with my feet. My feet have fucking blisters on them, and the top of my foot feels like it's sprained. I've been putting this THC herbal salve. It's got 150 CBD and 150 THC. I knew this shit would come in handy one day. And it's true what they say about a dab will do you, because there's still a shitload left in here. This thing has frankincense, olive oil, lavender oil, elder leaf, elderflower, all types of shit in it. And that shit helps. What's up, guys? Y'all want to see something? Oh yeah, I got my Alpha Brain in that Joe Rogan advertises. The Alpha Brain. It's a neurotropic, promotes flow state, and assists mental clarity. I took it today. It's caffeine free, and I did take 2 of these Genius pills for mental focus. Okay, really? Who removed my content? Seriously? Oh, it's a warning. Yeah, I already knew that. Why are you telling me that again? Yeah, I know. They flagged my video when it was nothing but me putting lotion on my legs and stuff. You never saw my ass. You never saw anything nudity at all. I shouldn't have done it, but oh well. Lesson learned. Won't make that mistake again. Holy shit, what? We gotta check this out first, y'all. Brownie, don't look at me like that. Now I gotta give you a chip. I shouldn't give you a chip. Sit. Brownie.
You all remember that soccer player that
Good
decided
boy.
to sue her head coach because she got benched for her political beliefs.
For Virginia Tech, women's soccer player is suing the coach, alleging she was forced to leave the team for refusing to kneel before games. In the lawsuit, Kirsten Henning, a junior at Tech, alleges her First Amendment rights were infringed upon, citing verbal abuse and retaliation from coach Charles Chugger Adair. The suit alleges that after Henning refused to kneel in support of the Black Lives Matter movement prior to a game last fall, Adair yelled at her during halftime. Henning says the verbal abuse continued at practice. She was removed from the starting lineup at the next two games, and her playtime was decreased, leading to her resignation. The lawsuit.
And this is at Virginia Tech.
Seeks to allow Henning to rejoin the team and to order Adair to undergo First Amendment training. A spokesperson with Virginia Tech says the university is declining to comment.
Well, you'll be delighted to know that she's getting $100,000 in a settlement. And the only thing I have to say is very simple. If you would get out of your echo chambers and instead talk to people instead of demonizing them with all these buzzwords, you wouldn't have to be in a situation where you have to financially pay somebody because you did something based on their political opinions. They didn't hurt you personally. They didn't hurt you physically. All they have is a different opinion. And if you can't live with that on this big ball of gas and dirt that is earth, you are going to have a problem living your life. There are all these different people who exist that have opinions. Some are smart, some are dumb. Some people actually have a statement to make about their opinion. Other people are just going to say things like the word obese is anti-black. These people are out there that can have a concise, actually peaceful conversation. And then the other people are just going to scream and shout about how their feelings are hurt because you said something they didn't like. Avoid those people and actually seek out information from others, because guess what? None of us know the answer to everything. All of us are wrong about something, and it's better if we go to other people, ask them questions, get a crash course on their belief system, not to change our worldview, but to
Shout out to Ruin Leon. Y'all make sure to go and like and subscribe to Ruin Leon for this video. He's a good content creator. Let's get back to the video.
understand another person's worldview. And because people don't want to do that, and you have people who will sit there and say, oh, you don't support BLM, even though BLM is not something worthy of supporting, you're going to get benched. You're going to get...
And he gets a lot of crap for saying that, but I agree with him. I wholeheartedly agree, Leon.
chastised. You're gonna get called out for bitching and moaning, all because you didn't take a knee on some dirt and listen to a unity statement. Oh, you think black people stealing is a problem? We're gonna protest and represent our school, and our school is gonna have to pay back that store that we called racist for stopping people from committing a crime.
Well, today, a Lorain County judge reduced the amount awarded to Oberlin's Gibson's Bakery. A jury originally ordered Oberlin College to pay the bakery $44 million. Now the family will receive $25 million because of a state cap on punitive damages. The family accused the college of racist labels and ruining their livelihood by encouraging protests. Now, this case dates back to November 2016 when three black students were arrested for assaulting the owner, David Gibson's son, Alan, who is white, after he caught one of those students shoplifting. Protests ensued over accusations of rape. Racial profiling.
Incident turned into a national controversy. Gibson's Bakery has received all $36.59 million owed to it by Oberlin College.
That is just crazy. I wasn't even realizing my mic wasn't picking me up, but Can you imagine, like, because of trying to defend your business or whatever, you get accused of being racist? Like, I want to go to this bakery. I bet you they have some bomb-ass shit there.
Remember, the incident happened in November of 2016 when Gibson's owners chased and tackled a black student shoplifting a bottle of wine. The college then branded the bakery owners as racists, condemning the shop, ending a food partnership, and sparking protests.
How are you going to call... So, one black guy gets arrested for shoplifting from there for trying to steal a bottle of wine, which, you know, who knows? Maybe the economy was bad and the owner didn't have the spare money to buy the wine. Maybe the dude was a dick when they tried to accost him and stop him from leaving the store. For whatever reason, he got arrested. That does not give the college a right to call them racist.
The Gibsons said they lost business because of it, and they are now working to rebuild the bakery for future generations.
And I hope they do. I hope that bakery stays open, and I hope they continue it on.
They're stupid people. You're never going to be able to get rid of them. You can weed them out, ignore them, because they're always going to exist. They're always going to say something dumb. They're always going to act like they have something thought-provoking to say when all they have to say is nothing but their fee-fees and be personally hurt.
You and I both know that you are capable of enjoying the rain and frolicking freely without filming it and then posting it to TikTok. Now, you've just co-signed, okay? You've just co-signed at least 3 million, 8.5 by 11 front and back people who just go out of their way to disrespect and dismiss the boundaries that Black creators have set.
For any unaware, this woman is mad. The white woman took that video and put it on her Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And it wasn't meant to be racist at all. Oh, but they took it that way.
And now you're one of those people. So, I guess my question...
The logic people say that I've heard is that, well, black people can't do that because of their hair, and it's an act of disrespect. How do we know every white person or white woman knows that about a black person's hair? And how do we know that by going through the rain and enjoying it? I mean, that's been a national, that's been a pastime forever of people doing it in movies and everything else. Like, when did this become a thing?
The question would be, why? Why is it so important to all of you to treat us like we don't matter?
Like, really?
This is really far from a fully articulated thought, but it's interesting to me that, like, everyone's favorite guys right now, which I would say is this guy and Jack Harlow, are like white guys who are comfortable in black environments. Do you know what I'm saying? This is not a full...
So, white guys aren't supposed to be comfortable. So, white guys aren't supposed to be comfortable in black environments?
Fully articulated thought. But there's something about that. And, like, especially in the case of Jack Harlow, like, not just comfortable, but almost seeming to prefer it.
Comment section needs to stop.
I know a lot of people like that, hun.
Yesterday I posted a TikTok responding to this question: what are the red flags you look for in men? And one of them was if he wouldn't date a trans woman. Red flag. And my comment section?
What?
You get the idea. I can't put them all because there's two. Trans women are women. So if you're
No, they are not. If I'm a heterosexual guy And I want to date a woman. I want to date a female chromosome Y, whatever the combination is. Shit, I can't think right now. But I want to date a fully natural female. I don't want to date no surgery or none of that bullshit. Somebody used to be a guy.
Heterosexual and you're a man and you said you wouldn't date a trans woman because it's a preference, that's just transphobia, period.
Alright, I'm transphobic. Cancel me then.
Majority of the time, our preferences are rooted in something
I mean, people's claustrophobic, hydrophobic. There's people that are freaking shoe phobic, for God's sake, probably. Like, I'm transphobic or whatever. Okay, call it what you want to call it, lady, but that doesn't mean anything other than I don't want that preference. I'm not gonna date anyone like that. I don't care if they got the whole works done and everything. No.
Problematic. It could be trauma, racism, transphobia. The list goes on.
Oh my God, it could be trauma. What? No, I don't have any trauma that makes me feel that way. It's just the fact that I want a normal homogeneous. What's the word? Homogeneous. I want a regular homogeneous relationship with a natural female. That's not from trauma. It's not from racism, I can tell you that, because my grandparents didn't teach racism, nor did my dad. It's not cultural either, except for the fact that we were taught growing up that men liked girls and girls liked guys. And sometimes you had people that liked the same things or whatever, but that's no problem. That's their life. We have no problem with that.
If you want to find out what your problematic preferences are, click the link in my bio and watch this video. I am now going to take you all through an example. This person asked why it's transphobic to not want to date a trans woman. Already starting off on the wrong foot by referring to cis women as regular women, then said something about trans women not being able to carry children. If that's your sole reason for dating someone, keep that same energy for all the women who are infertile.
I think it's fair to say
that was stupid.
That my guy has a type. But here's what really makes me mad. This is the girl he went on a date with from Hawaii. Like, sir, what you not finna do? You not finna play us, sir. You not finna play us, sir. Then this is the girl he went on a date with from New Mexico, who is actually, if you look on her Instagram, from Long Island. So, sir, if you have a type, you didn't even have to go across.
I don't get this.
50 states for that. Like, you really just dated the same girl in every single state. Like, where is the seasoning? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments, because I'm feeling like this was unnecessary.
What do you mean, where is the seasoning? Oh my God, so they've got to be black? That's what they're saying.
Those are not the people you want to hold conversations with. Those are not the people you want to be around, especially if they cost you either a couple $1 million or, in this instance, $100,000 because some white woman didn't support BLM.
Hey, what's up, Daniel?
If you
I'm seeing y'all now. What's up, Daniel? HBR at the Crossroads. What's up, bro? What? I ain't seen you in there in a while. How you doing, man? Storm, what's up? Sorry, I'm just not seeing all y'all.
Don't like anything that I've said so far, I would just like to remind each and every one of you that I have the infinite white privilege, and I'm always going to have that within my soul. Subscribe to the channel. I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.
Let's check out another video. This dude is funny, I swear. Y'all need to like and subscribe. I'm gonna put his pin his channel down in the comments or in the about section.
Remember the video I did a couple days ago about the TikToker who was using tarot cards to try to deduce who was behind the murders in the University of Idaho, and she just pulled out a random name and said this person did it, or she put a hit out because she was romantically involved with one of the people who lost their lives, and that person sued this TikToker because when you're somebody who hasn't done anything wrong and you're being put on social media as a
holy shit, I did not hear about that. Did y'all hear anything about that? Woman use these. What's up, Squirt? pretty good HBR. Hey, man, did y'all hear this? Listen to this crazy shit. This shit is crazy, y'all. Listen to this.
The TikToker who was using tarot cards to try to deduce who was behind the murders in the University of Idaho, and she just pulled out a random name and said, this person did it, or she put a hit out because she was romantically involved with one of the people who lost their lives, and that person sued this TikToker because when you're somebody who hasn't done anything wrong and you're being put on social media as a murderer, of course, you're going to sue somebody for defamation because you're not somebody who's a murderer. And somebody on TikTok claiming you are one deserves to face a consequence for lying about you.
University of Idaho college students and why. Their murder was ordered by Rebecca Schofield. Her targets were Kaylee and Madison. Rebecca was highly interested in Kaylee. She spent a lot of time fantasizing and thinking about her. They may have had some sort of fling. But ultimately, because of stubbornness and inability to see eye to eye, they broke it off. When they broke it off, Kaylee and Madison was seen together, and Rebecca did not like this because she felt that it could cause her trouble.
Well, here's the thing. There's no way that she can do a specific tarot card reading like that. I've had a tarot deck and I've read about it. I used it here and there. It wasn't that helpful to me, but nothing like what she's doing here. What she's doing right here is all completely off the cuff or pre-written, and she's memorized.
On for dating a student. She was so consumed and worried about losing respect, admiration, and her possessions that she...
And it's going to suck when she gets that judgment for calling people these things, and she has to work, and just about almost all of her check goes to paying off until this settlement's paid off, which is what's going to happen if people leave anything up of me that says I'm a killer or anything else like that up, or an abuser, because I'm going to sue you for defamation and libel. Watch.
She hired the killer.
Watch me do it.
To...
They'll find out who you are.
Carry out the murder. The killer did it simply for money.
Process servers are good at that.
And to be back into school and so that he can finish his studies. He was previously in trouble and maybe kicked out of housing.
Well, you'll be shocked. In a stunning turn of events that absolutely none of us could have seen coming, this TikToker has a little bit of egg on her face because the police have arrested somebody who they deem to be the main suspect of this, and you will be shocked and stunned to know it's none of the people she's made TikToks on.
And with breaking news just into the Eyewitness newsroom, a suspect in the murder of 4
Brian Kohlberger,
college students in Idaho, has been arrested in Monroe County. 2822 Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Andy Mahalchik is working the story and joins us with the very latest. Andy, what have you learned?
Well, good afternoon, Sean. Lots of here in Monroe County. Some is in custody in connection with the murder of those 4 University of Idaho students back in November. Stand that the court docket 4 o'clock our time overnight and long.
And I deduced based on a condom that she was fucked. And I think it's time for us to do this tarot card reading once again because of the new developments in this story. Oh my God, 3 condoms? You know what that means, guys? She's 3 times as fucked. Do you understand how stupid you have to be to get on any platform and just randomly point at one person and say, you're a murderer? Wasn't it a couple months ago I had to criticize a bunch of people who were going around blaming a random transgender for a school shooting, and their reasoning for it was to own the left? It was dumb then, and in this instance, it's dumb now. You have no evidence. You've admitted to having nothing but tarot cards and a feeling and ideas. Those are not conclusive pieces of evidence to figure
Exactly, to make a public claim like that about somebody.
Figure out who did this. It is a travesty that this happened, and I repeat what I said in the last video. How are you gonna sit there and just randomly point at somebody and think it's perfectly fine and there's no consequence to be brought upon you? How are you as a family member supposed to feel knowing that you just lost somebody close to you around Christmas time, around the time
And somebody would actually go out their way and do some shit like this,
where everybody's supposed to get around and love each other and have fun as a family? You see somebody just pointing out one random person and thinking that they have all the knowledge. You would be pissed off that this is happening, because instead of
grifters, Grifters, they come in all shapes, sizes, forms, and ways.
focusing on the evidence and hoping that the police find the person that actually did this, we got to worry about some random TikToker saying somebody at the school did it. It's pointless. It's absolutely disgusting. It's abhorrent. And you sitting there realizing that the walls are closing in on you, it makes me oh so satisfied. You still making TikToks about all this, still blaming this professor outright, and then subliminally talking about how the consequences are not realized upon her yet, when you should be talking about yourself, because you're still broadcasting this and you still walking around thinking you're in the right and everybody else criticizing you is in the wrong.
So I got served today with a lawsuit officially. Now I can provide
You did? Oh, maybe I'll get a video like this too.
my answer. And this is where the tables turn. When Rebecca Schofield,
He
the
knows
one
where
who
it,
murdered the 4 Idaho
see guys, he knows where his bread is buttered. He loves his daddy.
college students see my videos, she's gonna realize that
She's still going? You gotta be kidding me. So she got it served.
Realized upon her yet, when you should be talking about yourself, because you're still broadcasting this and you still walking around thinking you're in the right and everybody else criticizing you is in the wrong.
So I got served today with a lawsuit officially. Now I can provide my answer. And this is where the tables turn. When Rebecca Schofield, the one who murdered the 4 Idaho college students, see my videos, she's going to realize that it's very hard to outrun consequences of her actions because they seem to never stop. She's going to try not to panic and rush her decisions, and she's going to plan her escape. She's going to feel like she has options, and she's going to try to keep a level head. She's going to be relieved that the person who is in the middle of the gossip is not someone she knows, but she'll still feel a little betrayal. She's relieved to see that it appears that people, although are hearing what I'm saying, are not taking me seriously. That's what it appears though. Then her plan that she had with the killer is not going to go through. It's not going to work out. Then she's going to feel like she's running out of options. Then the killer who executed the murder is going to come out of hiding. But he'll feel stuck as well as he tried to plan his escape.
And who knows, maybe she'll pull the rabbit out the hat. Maybe she'll walk in the courtroom and say, oh my God, I got all the evidence necessary to prove that she did it. And we all gonna have egg on our faces. But for right now, it looks like you the one that's stupid. Because instead of doing the most rational thing on the planet, which is waiting for more information, you instead wanted to be an internet sleuth and think you in the comfort of your apartment or home, I don't know, don't criticize me for that, and saying, I have everything necessary because my tarot card said so, and you didn't do any form of research past that. You are disturbing, disgusting, and an overall putrid human being, and you deserve the consequences that come upon you, because framing somebody for something they didn't do on such a public scale deserves to be criticized, whether if they have 1 lawyer, 3 lawyers, or 10 lawyers. You're gonna realize when you mess with a bull, they're gonna hire some lawyers with horns. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.
See you, Leon. Yeah, Leon is great. I love Ruin Leon. I'm gonna make sure to put his channel and stuff down in the description real quick, guys. I've watched him for years now. He's a good YouTuber. I think he's from here in America, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lot of YouTubers I watch that are from over in UK. Because I just love learning about Europe and all this stuff. How different it is over there. I just think it's fascinating. video. Alright, there. Fix that. I haven't checked out Mr. Webb. I don't know what that is, Storm. Why are you licking? Why are you licking my hand like that? What's Mike watching? Stream sniping Mike real quick. For a quick second. Oh, I need to like his stream anyway. I need to tell him snipe. I'm gonna tell him just saying it. Don't nobody say anything. Don't nobody mess it up. That I could look you in the eyes face to face if you came here. Oh fucking damn, you watching me. I said if hypothetically you came here, I would look you face to face in the eyes and say, oh, I can't. Man, I can't even snipe this dude. He's watching me. Fucking shit. I hope he ain't talking shit about me. Anyways, we can react to this crime circus video. This ought to be interesting.
This is my third video on the alleged Moscow killer Bryan Kohberger. If you haven't seen my previous 2 episodes, make sure you check them out. They're well worth watching.
Yeah, let me check
In this
them out.
episode, we're going to discuss the sheath, the knife, the arrest affidavit.
Yeah, let's watch these. We're gonna do these in order, because I got permission from Drip Drop that I can react to these, and I want to start at the very first one, and I want you guys to be able to see it all from ending, and I'll pause it every now and then, and I'll give you my breakdown on what he's talking about. And
in this video, we're going to talk about Bryan Kohberger, the alleged Moscow, Idaho killer who brutally...
Now this is Drip Drop, and he also has a YouTube channel, which I'm also going to have to go real quick back into the chat settings and go to the stream settings and put it in there. I know, buddy, I know. It's okay. It's raining outside, though. You don't want to go outside right now. It's raining. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're a good boy. I love you. I love you. If anyone asks, man, tell Mike the reason I left is because, I can't stream snipe him if he's watching something of mine. At least I didn't think I could. There we go. I got that updated right. That's what's up. I hope y'all ain't talking shit on me over there watching that shit I said to Filthy.
Made 4
I meant every word I said to Filthy.
college students pass away in Moscow, Idaho. Authorities say he is the Moscow Killer. That's right, we're going to talk about that. Also in this video, we're going to discuss some previous videos I've released, because I think that's worth talking about. Stay tuned to find out what I have to say about that. Also in this video, we're going to talk about the mask. We've previously discussed the mask, and now the mask is important once again. Now let's jump right into this and see what I have to say for myself. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name is Drip Drop, and I'm your host as always. So many of you out there want to hear about Bryan Kohberger. Well, you're in the right place. This is the right show. This is the right channel. Make sure you subscribe with bell notifications on, smash that like button, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you feel about Crime Circus, and let me know after watching this video.
I wanted to say something to him.
Do you think they got the right guy? I know you want to hear about every single detail about Bryan Kohberger.
Yes,
is he the Moscow Killer?
Yes, he is.
Allegedly, he is.
Allegedly.
We're going to touch on many topics of Bryan's life, and I certainly can't cover it all in this short video, but I'm going to give you as much information as possible in this short video. I don't like to waste your time. Your time is valuable. So, first things first before we...
Yeah, y'all's time is valuable. Who's all in the comments? Let me check. Johnny trying to get church locked up. Dude, he said something to me earlier for sharing a Wade Devers post talking about that he's doing the same thing that I got people doing to me. Johnny, you said worky versus strong. You flip-flop so much, bro. That's why I agree with Mr. Deaver. You're dividing up the community. You are. You are doing that shit. That's why I said that was a good video. Now, if you got something to say to me, bro, we can make a stream happen. I got the full version of StreamYard. I can have guests. You can come up on my panel, or you can call me like a man like you have before in the past, and I've never, ever recorded you. Because trust me, if I had, I would have done released them. I never, ever tried to use you for clout or anything, bro. Or, you know. So, and I know you was so worried about that. That's what you thought I was always going to do. Because you was always saying, you're not recording me, are you? Not recording me, are you? I should have recorded your ass after you recorded Justin Adams. But I didn't. Because I'm a man of my word.
We discuss any information in this case. All individuals discussed are presumed completely innocent. Anything discussed in this video is not to be considered fact. Everything is purely opinion and speculation and guessing. Now that we got that out of the way, let's speculate a little on what led law enforcement to arresting Bryan Kohberger. Some have said it's DNA. Some have said it was the white Elantra. We're going to discuss DNA and we're going to discuss that white Elantra. But first, we're going to start with the boom. What I believe led law enforcement to Brian. There's a website known as 4chan that's similar to Reddit.
Now here's where it gets crazy about this case, guys, because this guy, now, we know he's a criminology student and has done psychology, like, and is from Washington, same like area, like, or state that Ted was from, Ted Bundy. I don't know if they're from the exact same area or whatnot, but anyways, and so there's been this user ever since this case had started and started coming out on YouTube and the crime channels that have been saying, you know, like, that they think that, for instance, that, what am I trying to say? They were basically giving out all this information that was not being given to the media, and they were saying things like, to the point of like they were saying them as fact. And then it started changing, and then they would make sure to always meticulously put IMO, in my opinion. And they think this is Brian, especially Drip Drop. And there's some numerology that is found in this case, and that could have been purposely put there by Brian, or it just could be there naturally.
But it's more of the Wild West, and it's a little more dangerous. People can post anonymously, and nobody has a screen name. All you have is a number. Well, this case seemed to have been going cold. It had been almost 1 month to the day of the murders. On December 12th, an anonymous user posted on 4chan this message, and I am going to censor it because this is a family-friendly show on a family-friendly website. This is what the message says. I hung their beeps from...
And since this is an adult show, I'm going to tell you what the message really says. Now, remember, it says I hung their, trigger warning guys, this is graphic, I hung their intestines from a ceiling fan, and I shoved my knife up Kaylee's cunt. I'm hiding in the woods in Shithole, Pennsylvania. Good luck catching me. And where did they get him, people? Pennsylvania.
From a ceiling fan and shoved my knife up Kaylee's beep. I'm hiding in the woods in Beep Hole,
piece of shit, man.
PA. Good luck catching me. What do you think of that post? I know that's heavily redacted. I had to censor some very gruesome, graphic words out of that post. That's available out there somewhere on the internet for you to find if you choose to do so. However, proceed with caution and be careful what you come across. Anyways, I believe that was the break in the case that law enforcement needed. Although I don't believe the house on King Road even had ceiling fans, this poster mentions PA, and Brian, the alleged killer, was caught in PA. He wasn't in Pennsylvania just yet. However, it's reported that his father came into town the next day after that post. So, Brian was planning on going to PA at the time that that post was made on 4chan. And it would also make sense why Kaylee's father was the most distraught and emotional man out of all the family members of any of the victims, because he knew his daughter had got it the worst. And what this anonymous 4chan user commented on that post probably raised a huge red flag to anybody that came across it. The authorities were probably already monitoring 4chan, and I would assume some people called in the tip line over that post. Although that site's supposed to be anonymous, nobody's truly anonymous on the internet. So although some details were wrong in that short post, what are the odds that that anonymous online user posts on that site 1 month after the murders? And 2 weeks before he's caught by the police, that he would be hiding in Pennsylvania, and good luck catching him. It's a known statistical fact that a lot of killers like to taunt law enforcement, and they like to...
Very true fact right here from Drip Drop.
...be the center of attention in the case. Although not all of them want to be caught, they like to play mind games with the public and law enforcement because they think they're so much smarter than everybody. I know a lot of my viewers are smarter than me. And that's why I super appreciate you visiting Crime Circus, because you give me your input, you give me your advice, and you give me
we're not smarter
your
than
opinions.
You, Drip Drop.
And none of us can be right all the time, but as long as we have good intentions, that's what matters. Anyways, I feel like that user was in the comfort zone posting that on December 12th, knowing that his father was coming in town the next day and that he would be in Pennsylvania days later. And at that point, he probably felt free as a bird and that nobody would ever catch him, because he was hiding out in PA. Pennsylvania. Also, interestingly enough, he made that post on December 12th. 1212. If you rearrange those numbers, you've got 1122 King Road. Also, some of you out there have heard about the Reddit user Inside Looking. Some have speculated he is the killer. He created his account on November 22nd. That's 1122. Just like the address. 1122 King Road. November 22nd, 1122.
See, guys?
I'm seeing a lot of numerology in this case. I don't think a lot of these things are coincidence. These are the games that somebody with a really high IQ likes to play just to mess with everybody else around them. They get their jollies off on doing these little number games. But there's always somebody smarter than the killer.
But it could also be actual numerology. He could have by happenstance created those accounts and stuff on those days where they lined up like that and led to his crime. Because he creates these accounts and he talks on them.
Such as the wonderful people working in law enforcement, as well as all of us, the online investigators. So this user on Reddit, Inside Looking, he created his account on November 22nd, and he obsessively posted creepy, cryptic messages on all of the 3 main subreddits for this case. He raised many red flags, he raised many eyebrows. He concerned a lot of people, and quite a few people claimed that they had reported him to the tip line because the things he was saying was really shocking. This user obsessively commented on this case, seemingly at all hours of the day and night. He was completely super obsessed, and he quite often found the need to correct others because it seemed that he knew how this crime happened. After a few weeks, he started using "in my opinion," and after a few weeks, he started using "speculation only" because he was raising so many red flags. Somebody said they were reporting him to the FBI, and he said something along the lines of, "Don't bother. I've already been cleared and they've already investigated me." After obsessively posting about this case for an entire month, even on the holidays and after, he hasn't made a single online post since Brian was arrested. Folks, I think it's safe to say this Reddit
That is him. You can tell by the picture, the jawline and everything. It's
Reddit user and the 4chan user is Bryan Kohberger, the alleged Moscow killer. I'm going to read you some posts that he wrote online. In one of the discussions on Reddit, they were talking about the 4chan post, and somebody says, "Yeah, it's a pretty crazy theory. I would just keep in mind that it's off of 4chan. Inside Looking says it's fake." Somebody says, "Are you from there?" Inside Looking says, "Too many people to remain silent. 4chan is not a reliable source." So you can see he was interested in making sure people know that that was a fake post on 4chan and it's unreliable. He was probably feeling a bit foolish after posting that on 4chan because it led the police directly to him. Let's check out some more messages I found. The mask, the mask, the mask. Many of us have been wondering who was wearing that mask. Well, that seems to have been put into this case, possibly by Brian. Not that Brian was wearing the mask, but I do believe that Brian posted that mask onto 4chan to throw people off of his trail and bring suspicions under the wrong person. Let's check out the social media post I found. Here on Bree's post it says, "I got wrapped into this case twice, and it's crazy. First, this picture of me got leaked somehow, and then out of nowhere, this guy gets arrested, and I realize he was one of my previous buyers. I've been selling on Marketplace for years. This is a business account. But I hope next time something happens like this, people stop throwing others under the bus. It messed up my social life when my friends saw it." On the left, we see a person wearing a ski mask, and this poster claims to be that person in the ski mask, whose name is possibly Bree. On the other side of the screen, we see an alleged Marketplace sale for a Spyderco knife to Bryan Kohberger for $350. So what do you think about Bree's post? Is this legitimate? Has somebody finally come forward to claim that they were wearing that ski mask? It seems believable to me, but I've been fooled before, so I just don't know for sure. Let's see what else this poster has to say. It's legit. You can see my Facebook Marketplace account. I've been selling for years. He drove from PA to get this knife for $350. It's rare and discontinued knife meant for cutting skin. From what I remember, dude was nice. He was with another guy who sat in the car. Flipped open the knife. I told him that you can use a zip tie as an immersion wave for it. He paid me the money and drove off. This was in October. So if that's a legitimate post by an honest person, it would make sense because at that time Brian's car still had Pennsylvania plates, so the seller would assume he drove from Pennsylvania, even though he was already in Washington. Also, sadly, in late October, the poor dog was skinned. And yes, Brian is a vegan, but you can still be a vegan and be a complete psychopath and hurt animals even if you won't eat them. We don't know for sure if the knife purchased off Facebook Marketplace was used in these crimes. I've looked up Spyderco knives. Most of them are foldable and most of them have really small blades. So we don't know one way or the other. He could just have a knife collection. He might be obsessed with knives. $350 for a used knife off of Facebook Marketplace? That sounds like a lot of money, and it seems like you'd have to have a super obsession with knives to pay that much, because you can buy a really big hunting knife at Walmart for $30. Let's look at this tweet from Brian Enton. Shortly after the arrest of Brian, he tweeted, "I am told when Idaho quadruple homicide suspect Brian Christopher Kohberger was in custody, he asked if anyone else was arrested. I'm told he had a quiet blank stare." Brian Enton didn't state a source. He didn't say how he has this information or who told him this information or if it's even 100%.
I mean, I want to say that Brian Enton would be telling the truth, but you don't know.
Factual. If Brian did ask that, one might wonder who was with Brian when he was buying that knife off of Facebook Marketplace. Or he could have just been doing some higher IQ psychological games against detectives, thinking he's the smartest man in the room. We just don't know yet. Hopefully more will be revealed in the arrest affidavit if they release that shortly. It's still a mystery why nobody's released the 911 call. We're still patiently waiting for that. Anyways, so another strange post by Inside Looking. Blood runs down from Xana and Ethan's room, not stairs. He seems to be fixated on making sure people know the exact facts in this case. Somebody wanted to know, does the killer likely live in the neighborhood? Someone said it's a 50-50 chance. Inside Looking says, you mean 0% chance. Well, that's interesting. How would he know it's a 0% chance unless he knows he doesn't live in the neighborhood? Inside Looking also says, killer didn't walk there, in my opinion. Well, how the heck does he know if the killer didn't walk there? 2 days before the alleged killer's arrest, Inside Looking posts this diagram on Reddit, and he says, killer enters sliding door and exits sliding door. If K/M/KM were the targets, the path doesn't cross XE. If X/E/XE were the targets, the path doesn't cross KM. E and K did not reside at the home. Therefore, X and M must have been the targets. And as you can see from that post right there, it makes perfect sense. The killer may not have even known Kaylee was in the home that evening because she didn't live there. Ethan certainly didn't live there either. Therefore, Xana and Maddie were the prime targets. According to this Reddit poster, and that makes perfect sense, and Xana and Maddie both worked at a restaurant downtown. And in my opinion, that's exactly where Brian first laid eyes on Maddie and Xana, at the little restaurant downtown in Moscow. I think he became super obsessed with those two girls, and he started stalking them everywhere they went. He didn't know Ethan or Kaylee would be there that evening. Once he found out they
doing that voyeuristic type behavior like Ted Bundy did. Sounds just like it.
It didn't matter one way or the other because he had a mission. He had an unstoppable plan that nobody was going to get in the way of.
He wanted to feel, and I hate to phrase it like this, so trigger warning guys, but this is what people that get into this dark stuff and study it find. We have to come across it and we have to learn it, but they call it the thrill of the kill, and that's what he's saying that this guy was fixated on doing. He didn't care who else was there or what.
He had to kill, and he did it. Purely speculation, of course. Anyways, let's check out some more posts.
Yeah.
Inside Looking on Reddit also says, K was not the target in my opinion. XM were targets. Look at killer's route inside of the home. K being target doesn't make any sense. You can see this user clearly wants the world to know exactly who the targets were. He wasn't interested in hurting Kaylee or Ethan. His targets were Xana and Maddie, period. He's also asked on Reddit why the downstairs girls weren't attacked. Seemingly there was a scream and he was startled, and also it was too dark down there, so he couldn't be for sure Dylan or Bethany didn't have a boyfriend over. So it was an unknown. It wasn't a risk that he was willing to take. He had just created 2 bloodbaths in 2 different bedrooms, and going downstairs was just too much of a risk for him to escape and get away with this. The 2nd and 3rd floor were easily visible from outside. They didn't really use blinds, and it was easy access. He didn't have a clue what was awaiting for him down on the 1st floor. And here's a picture that I received third party. So I can't verify 100% for sure if this is the...
You look at... You don't know if that's his, you know, actual picture, right? But let's just say, for argument's sake, that is his actual picture. All the pictures we've seen of Bryan Kohberger since he's been arrested and everything, that definitely matches up with his face and structure, if that is the picture. That's the picture for the
picture
account
that he was using on Reddit. However,
See? There's his real face.
Whoever in this profile picture looks exactly like Bryan. He's got the exact same nose, same nose bridge. You can see the same crease underneath the eye. And in my opinion, this is Bryan Kohberger, the alleged killer of these Moscow victims. So there are hundreds and hundreds of posts because...
And maybe that's come out. Maybe they've linked some of these accounts. I hope they have. That'd be awesome.
Because he obsessively posted about this case for over a month. He was also fixated on a couple footprints that detectives found behind the house. He seemed convinced those were the killer's footprints. I wonder why. He was also convinced that the killer parked behind the house, and while he was getting away, the killer's car hopped the car.
You would sit here, a lot of people would say, why would somebody, you know, do this? Why would they go through such lengths of posting all about it to drag attention to them almost? Because, you know, after all these mentions and recorrections, people started reporting him. I guarantee they had a tech team specialized in trying to triangulate where that user was geographically located. And as he keeps going on and on and on, one would almost wonder, why would he do that? I mean, he'd have to know, especially in this day and age, he's increasing his chances of getting caught. Well, some killer, they truly do, these serial killers, they think that they are so much more smarter. You know, he took the college courses, he passed them, but instead of going into a job and being a part of active society, he decides to be antisocial and do what he did. So that may be something to do with his mental state, or maybe he just did it because he wanted to do it.
Curb and had to correct, which is why there were skid marks in front of the house as seen here. The user Inside Looking posted about it many times. Most likely because that was the highlight of his night and his adrenaline was rushing and he couldn't believe what he had just done.
Can you believe that he said that? He actually said that. I mean, how much more clear do you got to be that was the highlight? I mean, he might as well have said that was the highlight of my night.
So he could barely even control the wheel as he fled the scene. He somehow miraculously got away for over a month, even though there were screams, even though his car peeled out, even though he almost crashed, even though police were just in that area 20 minutes prior.
Can y'all believe that? Just 20 minutes prior, police were there and everything. And he squealed out, almost wrecked, was so full of adrenaline after all that, because that's why they call it the thrill to kill. Because when a person starts to do that to people, I hate to talk about this, but y'all, graphic, trigger warning, it puts them in this fight or flight mode when they start killing somebody, and they literally get a rush of adrenaline. It's crazy. It's almost like some people call them killer's high.
Even though a bunch of underage drinkers were just in the area 20 minutes prior. Even though Kaylee and Maddie had just called Jack DeCour 20 minutes prior. He somehow made a clean getaway. For the first month anyways. But he could not contain himself. He just had to go on social media and speak about it.
He could not.
Here's another interesting post I found by him. In these Reddit posts right here, he makes it very clear he's telling other people that they're wrong. Somehow he knows exactly what happened. Ethan not in the hallway, in my opinion. Wrong. Killer went to Xana and Ethan's room, then Maddie and Kaylee's room, in my opinion. Wrong. Killer was in parking lot behind house and drove off from there, in my opinion. They were in their rooms, in my opinion. Well, in my opinion, these posts on Reddit are super suspicious, and I do believe we'll find out in due time that these were in fact Bryan Kohberger's posts on Reddit. Many of us wondered, was the killer monitoring our videos, our posts, and what we were discussing about this case? 100% the killer was monitoring what we were saying and discussing about him. Unlucky for him, the FBI was monitoring his online posts. Law enforcement states no essay, stick to the facts. No essay, end of story. He wants it to be known loud and clear there was no essay, because that's not the type of guy he wants the world to view him as. He just wanted to kill, and he did. End of story, according to Inside Looking. Here's a post. I'm 100% confident this is the route the killer took.
Just can't believe he talked this much.
Speculation. Killer went to the kitchen, Ethan Exana's room, Maddie Kaylee's room. Well, that's quite the speculation. He really wants everybody to know exactly what happened. He doesn't want people with the wrong information. Inside Looking says, speculation. They'll find the car first. Suspect will be announced, and then the manhunt begins. Little fact I came across recently. Apparently Brian had Pennsylvania plates, and 5 days after the murder, he applied to register the car in Washington state to get Washington plates. He must have been feeling a little paranoid about the car being spotted with out-of-state plates, so he wanted to blend in a little more. 5 days after the murder, he registered it in Washington. Here's another dead giveaway by Inside Looking. Speculation. One is a registered SO, and the other is a violent offender. All I'm saying is that the killer is not a registered SO. I would bet all my chips on that. Well, apparently he's willing to bet all of his chips that the killer is not an SO. And Brian's not an SO. Inside Looking was right once again. Speculation. Elantra is...
That's completely 100% him, y'all. Y'all gotta know that.
Connected. And he puts that in all capitals. Well, Brian had an Elantra, so he knew very well the Elantra is connected. Law enforcement knew and searched for this car since day one. Owner has not come forward. Anonymous reports of white car being perp immediately following the homicides. So this user is convinced even before we were all told about the white Elantra that law enforcement knew about the white Elantra, which would make sense why Brian switched out the plates 5 days later. How did Inside Looking know this information? None of us were told about the white Elantra for 3 weeks, and Brian switched out the plate before it was made public. So he must have known that he had been caught on camera or possibly seen by somebody walking. Most likely cameras, because you have to drive by a couple cameras to get back to his apartment. Anyways, there's hundreds of more posts on Reddit. I'm not going to possibly read them all. I'm trying to keep this video short and sweet for your viewing pleasure. Some of us speculated on the wrong people in this case.
Yeah, and I will say this. It is crazy that we have this much information coming from himself before he got caught.
Some of us gave opinions, and that's okay. It's okay to have an opinion. This is a worldwide media frenzy case. This is the biggest case since O.J. Simpson. I know most of us have good intentions, and if your heart's in the right place, it's hard to do much wrong when you just want justice for the families. I've never falsely accused anybody in this case. It was always speculation and opinion only. I always said anyone I was discussing is presumed innocent, and I stand by those statements. Anybody I discussed is presumed innocent, then and now. Some people have made false accusations and slandered and defamed my name. I've never falsely accused anybody of anything on this channel. I stand by innocent people, and I always actually try to get innocent people out of prison. I'm an advocate for falsely accused and falsely convicted inmates. All I've done in this case is investigate and ask important questions that I felt needed to be asked, that many of my viewers wanted me to ask. Asking a question is not a crime, and it's not illegal civilly or criminally. Sometimes you have to ask hard questions to find answers. You have to ask hard questions to eliminate people to find the right person. Hopefully they found the right person and some sort of small justice can be served for the families. Please consider checking out my Patreon or YouTube membership to help support this show monthly. I have a lot of appreciation for my viewers, and I thank you so much. Without my supporters, this show wouldn't really be possible for me to do it on this level that I'm doing it on. We're the #1 crime show on the entire planet, and I'm super proud of that. And I have you to thank, the ones that support me. Anyways, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this case. I'd love to have a discussion with you. I want to hear your theories, opinions. Do you think Inside Looking is the killer? Do you think that anonymous post on 4chan is the killer? There's a lot more to be discussed and found out about Brian. Authorities really haven't told us much of anything at this point. And I can't wait to see the arrest affidavit to see what they're actually arresting him on, and how they came to that conclusion. I've heard rumors about DNA, but so far that's rumors only. None of that's official. This guy seems too smart to leave DNA behind at the scene, but you never know. There was apparently at least one struggle, probably two, and anything can happen during a struggle. If you want to see more investigations into this case, smash the like button. That really helps this channel. If you want to see more interrogations, smash that like button. If you want me to never make another video on the Idaho case, let me know. I've got a lot of good interrogation series coming. Soon, I'm going to be releasing a podcast exclusively for my channel members and Patreons. If people like it, maybe I'll release it to the public.
I'll be becoming a member soon, Drip Drop. Thanks again for this video. That was a great video. How's everybody doing? Let me check in with the comments. No. I fall in love with what? No Life Army? Oh, okay. I'll fall in love with that kitty. Okay. Well, I do like cats. I'm just more of a dog preference person because dogs are so much more closer usually than cats, but some cats can be. Why are you in trouble now? You been a bad girl? Don't tell me you've been a bad girl. If you've been a bad girl, Jen, then we gotta know why. Have you been a bad girl? Wolfsec, you don't want to get lost in them. It's literally the labyrinth of labyrinths, basically. Shit. Army, you and Mike need to come pick me up sometime soon in the future. Get Jen and we all get a room down and hang out and shit in St. Louis. Shit. I'll bring my dispensary weed for my medical. Y'all can do y'all's thing, and me and Jen maybe could go to the hot tub or something. You know, who knows? Shit, we going to St. Louis. What's on Square? I didn't do anything. All I said was No Life Mike and Army need to come pick me up to go back to get Jen and go into St. Louis and stay for like a weekend or whatever. We should do that. Be cool as shit. That'd piss off everybody. Do a live together and shit. They couldn't stand that shit. Hell, just think about it. Anyways, let me see. That's the first drip drop video. I'm gonna do the second one in another video. But I just want everyone to know, everyone especially to know, that no matter what, even with all the bullshit that has happened, I do care about all my subscribers. I've had a few people subscribe recently that I don't know exactly how to feel about because I blocked and unsubscribed from them. I don't know what they're trying to do, but usually it's always something not good, so I'm just trying to ignore it. And that's not me taking a cheap shot at them. That's just me telling them how I feel about it. You know, you can subscribe to me and everything, and that's cool. I appreciate it, but you know, if you want to watch, but usually when you subscribe or whatever, you do that so you know when I go live. That way you can record and take my content and transform it into hate content or comedic content about shit that's not even funny to me, that only certain sick people can laugh at. So just with all that in mind, just know that I see it, but I'm not going to be reacting to it, like I said. So just know that. As long as we understand that, we're great. Oh, let's check out this video. This seems good. And this will be on Actual Justice Warriors, so I just have to react to it a certain way, and it should not get me messed up. I'm already a member of his channel.
Welcome, friends and strangers. Today we're going to talk about a character that has often made the news in relationship to different
Oh, I guess I took it down. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't I'll renew my membership. I guess I decided not to do it before. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna have to put y'all on. Be right back for a second.
Welcome, friends and strangers. Today we're going to talk about a character that has often made the news in relationship to different political debates, and of course, welcome.
Sorry about that, guys. I was doing something. I'm back now. I know you couldn't barely hear me, Storm. You was hearing the audio from this guy. No, I'm a member of this guy's channel. I like him. He's a actual justice warrior. Make sure to check him out. Like and subscribe to him. I'll make sure to put his link also in the description. Let me go ahead and do that real quick in this video, since I'm going to react to it. I need to change my logo on my Google account too to my new logo, since I got a trademark now. And yeah, I saw Filthy made a shirt and just redesigned it. He technically could do that and make a trademark for that design, sure. But pictures of my face, I know he can't trademark those, so I would think that would be illegal. I need someone to help me out with that. Well, thank you, Wade. I appreciate that. See, I appreciate stuff like that. It means I can react to it, so I'm going to react to it then for you, Dagburn, because Dagburn said something to me about it on here. But Wait, he said Upchurch is being watched by the FBI. Hell no. Stay on task, Ian. Stay on task. We ain't watching that shit.
Tell you what, these crack squad, buddy, they're gonna be
They're not watching Upchurch, you dumbass. They might be watching some people that Upchurch knows or whatever. If they're on the internet doing stuff that you're talking about that they're doing, you might be right about that. And for all intents purposes, let's say they are watching Upchurch. Well, they're just watching, just make sure, see he ain't involved, and he probably ain't. Because I guarantee you, Upchurch is not stupid enough to get involved in some petty drama level bullshit that, no offense, Johnny, but like a minion or somebody lesser than Upchurch could do, that's got the knowledge to do. And sure, could Upchurch technically sign off on it? Sure he could. He could say, yeah, go ahead and do that shit. And maybe he'd never do it himself, but he you know, and it might be something like you'd say is an injustice or whatever. Okay, let's say he does it. Well, he's not going to do it himself. He's going to have someone do it. If he does do it, which I'm not saying he would do it, because I just don't believe he would do it. And, you know, so if they're watching and they get anybody, it'll be the people that do the stuff. It won't be the people that you're trying to say they're doing it for. And have you ever stopped and considered there may just be crazy people that do this stuff in his name or for him that he never signed off on and said was cool? You know, like it's happened to other people. Just thought you should know.
Friends and strangers, today we're going to talk about a character.
Be right back, guys. I'm sorry, I got to take another be right back break. I got to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. I just was wondering, that's all. Come on, Brownie. I'll try it again later. Come on, Brownie. Come on. Come on, Brownie. Sorry, guys. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, so what do y'all think about them making those stupid t-shirts? They always gotta rip off someone's design, you know what I mean? Like, sure, like, all designs come from a design, like, right? Like, I picked one of the most basic shapes to call my name, square. I did that for a myriad of reasons. I even made my logo into a square. And I made squares in the corners of the square logo. So I made logos within, well, I didn't make all those logos, but I got them from Free Domain, and I put them in that area uniquely, and I altered them each, and I altered and created the skull and the square media that you see. And so therefore, it is my logo. It is my proprietary intellectual design. I trademarked it. I filed the filing fees. I was thinking about, I was going to file the receipts earlier, but I didn't want to because I was like, no, because if they don't believe me just by that, then they can try to use it or whatever in the same exact way that it is. And, I did, and the name and all that. Now, they may have the domains, and that's fine. They got the domains in my legal name. Like, whoop-de-doo. Okay. So they've got domains in my legal name. All I gotta do, well, I'm not even gonna say all that because then they'll know. But just put it this way. That is my logo. And you've not seen it. It's right there in the middle of the screen right now. It's bouncing and changing colors. See? But no, Filthy Animal has already made t-shirts with the first live this morning. He took t-shirts and put Insane and put my face on there on top in front of my logo and stream thumbnail. It was childish. But anyway, sorry about that. Let's get back to the video that I wanted to review and watch. Dr. Phil destroys defund the police activist. I think that's pretty good.
The news in relationship to different political debates, and of course, that's Dr. Phil. Now, you might remember very famous segments from Dr. Phil featuring Matt Walsh, where he went up against the two transes, and
yeah, I do.
And of course, the virality on the internet that resulted from that. And I'm not just talking about the segment going viral, I'm talking about the actual viral infections that you and I all got from.
Yeah, from watching that. Yeah, it was crazy because, like, the dude, he was all over the place and was straight up like, I don't know, like,
from watching that segment. Well, in this one, they actually decided to take on the issue, to tackle the issue of defunding the police. And I found this segment, which hasn't been getting a lot of attention, quite hilarious, quite funny, and I think that Dr. Phil might actually be secretly, low-key, as the kids like to say it, basted. That's right, Dr. Phil goes up against these...
He's based. So... I pretty much, I guarantee anything Dr. Phil says, I will agree when it comes to the police. Except for the part about going over the Constitution and stuff like that. If he starts talking about stuff like that and red flag laws, then I'll be like, oh, I'm out of here.
Activist, sure, he plays both sides here and there, but there are a couple of key moments where he just shuts that nonsense down, and I gotta pay my respects to Dr. Phil. Oprah Winfrey's illegitimate father of her son or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. You remember the Dave Chappelle sketch, whatever, we gotta talk about it today. But before we get into it, we have a sponsor, so let me toss it to the sponsor, very quick ad read, and then we'll discuss everything on the other side.
Alright, let's give homage to the ad gods for the ad or the sponsor he's about to show and give respect to him. Remember, guys, this is a actual Justice Warrior. You can find his channel. He's got over 200,000 subs. He's really good.
And you will be ever richer for it. If you've noticed an increase in wrinkles, fine lines, and bags under your eyes, guess what? You might not just be dealing with the normal signs of stress because of the new year. You might actually have had a decrease in your production of collagen within your body. You might also be noticing that your skin elasticity is a little bit down, your hair's thin, and your skin overall is also thin. This is largely due to the fact that our body slows down its natural collagen production, and one of the things you could do to fight back against it is go over to healthwithjustice.com and get yourself this amazing collagen powder. There are 5 different types of collagen in here. It will make you look and feel younger, and this amazing formula can be yours risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee for 51% off at healthwithjustice.com. Restore your collagen today, healthwithjustice.com.
Now, joining me today are Kat Brooks, Executive Director of the Justice Teams Network and co-founder of the Anti-Police Terror Project.
So we're getting right into it, and we're meeting the people that are brought on the panel in order to discuss this topic. And as you can see, the first person is the founder of an organization, or a co-founder of the organization, called the Police Terror Project, or Anti-Police Terror Project. So you already know that this
Anti-Police Terror Project. So, like, I guess whenever people, when the police tell you to do something and they resist doing it, they shouldn't grab onto them and then force them into position or nothing. They should just, just say, all right, do what you want,
This is going to be an anti-cop lunatic. But next up, we don't have this particularly pro-police person. You'll see who she is. Let's see if you remember her.
Carmen Best, former Seattle police chief and now author of Black in Blue, Lessons on Leadership, Breaking Barriers, and Racial Reconciliation.
And for those of you who don't know who this is actually the former Seattle police chief, the first black female police chief in Seattle, who had her funding cut, and particularly her payment cut, so she made less than her previous white counterpart after the George Floyd riots during the whole Chaz thing, and she eventually resigned, but then she wrote a book about how she's still left-wing, but she really doesn't like the fact that the left-wing Seattle City Council ended up cutting her police department's funding and her paycheck specifically, and that's why she resigned. Next up on our list,
along with Michael Denzel Smith, award-winning author, writer-in-residence at Hunter College, and podcast host.
Now, I got to say, I've honestly never heard of him. So, award-winning, okay, by what? Some arbitrary thing that calls himself an award committee?
Is this Hunter College professor, and we're not going to get into it right now, but there's a way that this guy talks that, makes the pattern recognition portion of my brain light up, even though the greatest crime you could commit on YouTube is to recognize patterns. Now, if you'll notice, all 3 of the people presented so far are black, 2 of them are women, and now we're going to go to the white guy who happens to be some kind of very pro-police person, which is unsurprising that Dr. Phil would use this person to represent that ideology.
Exactly. Mark Powell, a former Reserve San Diego police officer and former vice president of the San Diego County Office of Education.
So when a panel is set up in such a way like this, it ends up lighting up some red flags in my brain, much like the pattern recognition portion of my brain.
Exactly.
Because what you have is 2 staunchly anti-law enforcement people, then one person who is in the middle, far too towards the left wing, and then one pro-cop person. So you see that this is pretty much set up so that the anti-police, or it at least appears to be set up,
they're gonna get
so
more
that the
of their
anti-police
voice.
portion of the conversation ends up having an advantage. However, I was pleasantly surprised by the way that this
And that's what it looks like at first, but it looks like that's not the way it's going to be turned out to be, so hopefully not. So far, this is great. I always love how Actual Justice Warrior does his vids. He's always like himself in the beginning, and he always does the health with justice formulas, like he actually uses some of them. And he's very thorough in the research and stuff and topics and things he covers. That's why he has such a huge subscriber base.
This segment went, because eventually these crazy people ended up being destroyed by Dr. Phil being basted, as the kids like to say.
Defund the police was the best terminology. or that it got interpreted exactly the way it was originally intended. So I'm curious how you guys feel about it. I'll start with you as a former police chief. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, well, just as you said, Dr. Phil, one of the things that I thought was quite confusing from the beginning was when you say defund the police, depending upon whom you're talking to, it means different things to different people. So some people would say it means divest and invest in other areas. Some people say it.
No, usually when you hear defund the police, most people are talking about you're cutting the police budget, which constrains their overall operational capacity. That is why police officer departments have budgets. That's why the city allocates them money for the budget, all of that.
It means abolish. And so we needed to at least have a clear definition to actually figure out.
Okay, so what's that clear definition?
What are we talking about when we say that?
So the opening salvo of this talks about how defund the police doesn't actually mean defund the police, but then eventually we get to the point where it does mean defund the police. It does mean abolish the police. So we have people say, oh, well, sometimes they talk about paying for mental health or whatever social programs, no big deal, and then they transition to these other people.
Some things that I do want to address. Actually, there was not confusion about what defund means until law enforcement inserted that confusion.
Yeah, so law enforcement inserted the confusion. All right, so what do you got to say, Confucius?
I can say is that organizers, creators of this movement were always very clear that it was about redirecting resources to things that actually keep us safe.
We're saying the only people who ever
redirecting the resources to what?
Confused anybody related to what defund and abolish the police means are law enforcement propagandists.
When you're saying, suddenly we see people talking about abolish, well, defunding comes from an abolitionist perspective, right? It is a long-term project that says, how do we create the conditions under which policing would not be necessary?
And then this guy who has that...
We cannot create those conditions. To do so would mean to basically get rid of all work, get rid of society as we know it. People do the work that show up to do the work that needs to be done, and everybody lives. There's no money. I mean, what you're talking about is an anarchist system, and that's not, no.
Way of talking that lights up the pattern recognition portion of my brain says actually defund the police comes from an abolishment perspective, and it helps
so in other words, he's trying to tie it to slavery. Oh God.
Let's get to the point where we realize where we could get to where it's necessary, where we don't have law enforcement at all. And this guy is going to be the absolute worst in terms of argumentation.
Yeah, because he's going to tie it all to the policing is just like, look, white people have just as much as problem with the policing going on today as black people do. So does Indians, Asians, everybody. Okay, I myself have been a victim of police brutality, injustice, all types of shit. But I don't wail about it every day. I mean, and it's happened several times. Hell, it just happened here last Friday.
I mean, this woman was pretty bad. She talked about how black people are disproportionately targeted by the criminal justice system.
When we're talking about
Really? Because I saw a lot. I'm just saying, I was only in county for about all of 10 minutes last Friday, but I saw a lot of white faces.
Society where 1 in every 1,000 black men can expect to be killed by law enforcement, we have not made progress. When we talk about...
And 1 in every 1,000, she said it is, gets killed by law enforcement. I would say that statistic is very, very, very far and wide if it's only 1 in every 1,000. So out of every thousands of people, out of every 1,000 people a cop comes across that he kills, and the one that he ends up being an African American. It's really not a hard statistic to imagine, considering that African Americans disproportionately outweigh white people right now in America in terms of the population. You know, they advance us in certain areas, especially in metropolitan areas. So I could see how out of the thousands of people, that out of 1,000 people, if I was an officer coming across and I end up shooting one of them, there's a good chance it could probably be an African American. Yeah, I don't see how
about
that's
a
so
society
absurd.
where black folks in particular.
All I'm saying is I don't see how that's so absurd when you look at the population statistics compared to it.
Make up the majority of people that are profiled, targeted, incarcerated by our criminal legal system. We're not talking about progress.
And they end up getting incarcerated more, and I can't understand why, because I've never seen any crime statistics ever in existence ever.
Well, defunding comes from an abolitionist perspective, right? It is a long-term project that says, how do we create the conditions under which policing would not be necessary? And defund is the
By having a perfect earth, which, I mean, unless you're, I'm not even gonna offend God like
policy that says, well, a city budget has this much money going to police and this smaller amount of money going toward roads, towards housing, towards schools, towards recreation. Why don't we take some of this money over here, move it over here?
Because maybe in those communities there is a large amount of criminal enterprise and activity that's being combated, and that's why the police have control of the budget. Did you ever consider that? Just wanted to add that in there first.
So yeah, defund the police isn't the same thing as abolishing the police. I mean, it comes from an abolitionist perspective, and we're trying to get to the point where we don't have the police at all. But you got to think about it. We want some roads and we want some recreational centers.
Like, you know, you want to increase the taxes for that? Okay, we could, like, increase taxes on, let's say, alcohol. People could say those taxes are already too high. Okay. The marijuana tax, that's certainly opened up a lot of new tax revenue. What else? I mean, I don't know what else to increase the tax on. Tax is crazy. I think tax where I live, the sales tax is at like 8%, if not almost 10. And back when I was younger, I remember back over in Tennessee, the sales tax was like 12 over there, and here it was 7. Like, it was crazy how much higher the tax was in Tennessee, just right across the river when I was younger.
Midnight basketball or something like that, and the police budget is preventing us from having that. And what we need to do is get to the point where we don't need the police. But remember, this is totally not about abolishing the police, not at all.
What we're trying to accomplish is, again, what does it mean for communities to actually be safe? And
sales tax may only be 8% now. I don't know what it is.
Shown time and time again is that more funding toward policing does not work. The question is, to me, is...
Of course it does. What do you mean more funding doesn't work? So you want them to be less equipped for when there's a school shooting scenario? Because sometimes there is a need for those SWAT vehicles you see parked all the time.
It's not about whether or not you support defunding. It's like,
you know, they hope to God they don't need to use them. God, sometimes it's better to have it, to be on ready, on standby, than to not have it at all.
What does the budget look like, and how many officers will there need to be in order for you to eliminate crime? Like, can that question be answered?
So ultimately, we get to the stupidest point that you could possibly make, which is, how many officers do you need before crime is eliminated altogether? Now,
you're not going to eliminate crime altogether. Crime is something that's always going to be a part of society as long as there is things that are forbidden in law. And in law, there's this term that what is not stated clearly, therefore, there's an old maximum of law that says that which is not explicitly forbidden is permitted, or that which is permitted is not forbidden. In other words, if it's not said that it's forbidden, then it's permitted to do. And that's sort of, but that's not necessarily the way the law works today. See, the law today works in statutes enacted by the legislature, largely. And then you have things like executive orders, and then you have things such as constitutional amendments, and you know, you have executive orders that the governor signs into your own state based on certain things, all types of stuff.
Now, we should all understand at a base level, and this guy...
And then even at your local county and city, they have meetings where they pass new ordinances, which become laws only within the city limits of themselves. They can increase stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
guy is a professor at a college. So it's
the levels of bureaucracy it's just astounding.
Kind of shameful that he doesn't get this, that what we're trying to do is reduce crime proportionally. We understand that to a certain extent, crime is going to happen, but what we want to do is set up a series of consequences to reduce it however possible it is to be reduced. And we don't necessarily try to get rid of all crime altogether. That would be great. But in reality, that's not going to happen in a free society. People get into conflicts, assaults, and all these things happen, and you have to manage the consequences of crime while simultaneously punishing the criminals. And
yeah, if you didn't want to have crime, then you'd have to get rid of the free society. So if we were willing to do that as a human race, which everybody would hate, then we would maybe not have crime then. Maybe.
Hopefully you could...
I still got a feeling we would still have some type of criminal stuff going on.
Get to a point where you're rehabilitating criminals or you're preventing crimes, but overall you need a response to the crime, which happens largely because of human nature. People want things. There's always going to be a certain amount of people who take a shortcut, who try to steal, who try to hurt other people in order to get what they want. But that's what we have law enforcement in response to. This guy's saying, oh, well, you know, we need to figure out where we need to go to get zero crime. You don't have an answer to that. Therefore, get rid of all the police because something. Subscribe to my podcast.
Like, no, that's complete bullshit, because people don't understand that if the police were not to be around, you would be completely on your own for defense, for even in times of martial law, like that would be the worst point in this country, is if we came under martial law and there started to be curfews and had to be military out because of the risk of riots and stuff. And eventually it's going to happen, and the military will be overrun or ran out, and the stores will be ran through, and then you'll have to either live off the land or live on the go, as like we saw in some of the Walking Dead shit. That's one thing I liked about watching The Walking Dead, is you got to see real life, sort of, in a way, how when society breaks down, what it will do and cause some people to act. They did get a lot of things on that show
Struggling
right.
under the public backlash, 20% of the force have left in the past year and a half.
I chair the African American.
Yeah, and a lot of people are leaving police too because they can't do it. And you know what? The restrictions on becoming a police officer are strict. You have to almost have a type 1 or a type 2 personality. And what I mean by that is, like, a type 1 is like the type that can become people like the Bundys and stuff, but they're good guys. Actually, they're actually good guys. It's just that they have that capacity that if they need to, they can arrest, shoot to kill on sight, whatever. The type 2 are the ones that are empathic, like Bill Hagmaier. I'd compare the type 2 to him. I'm just looking at it in terms of personalities from, like, the movie No Man of God. But like, Ted Bundy was a type 1A personality. Bill Hagmaier was a type 2, but he could get into the mind of a 1, and that's what 2s have the ability to do. They have the ability to get into the mind of the other personality, and these people more and more are harder to find and to get employed, or that don't have health issues, and they're facing hiring problems, I believe, inside some of the departments, if I'm not mistaken myself.
Community advice.
I could be wrong on that.
For the Seattle Police Department, it's a tough role to have. A lot of people have turned on me, call me a cop lover, traitor.
So I wanted to start with this person, which is somebody that they brought in as a guest because she was a part of one of these civilian review boards.
A cop lover, traitor. What's wrong with loving your police? Shit, I'd hope we love them. I don't want to fear them.
That got instituted, and because she wasn't in favor of abolishing the police or defunding the police, because it leads to crime and all sorts of other consequences that are negative and hurt black people disproportionately, she was considered a race traitor. But there's another point that she brought up that I need to play for you.
Oh, wow. She's considered a race traitor? Are you kidding me?
I want you to keep it in your brain going forward, because it's really going to help us understand understand why the numbers being presented by the left-wing side in this case are actually quite deceptive.
I think people do misunderstand that word, and it's right there with abolishing the police. Once city council started talking about defunding the police, hell broke out. It's unsafe here. We've lost 300 to 400 officers. We're in crisis, and I think we're doomed. I don't even know if we can get back to where we were.
So that's crucial. They've lost 300 to 400 officers in the city of Seattle. The Seattle PD is down 300 to 400 officers, and that's something that you guys need to understand in terms of the defund the police conversation, is that nationwide we have a shortage of police officers. The NYPD had about 4,000 officers either retire early or leave the force or resign, and other police departments have had similar situations like that, and that's something that really needs to be emphasized, and you're find out a little bit later why I'm highlighting this point and making sure you guys know that it's not just in the city of Seattle, it's not just in this individual place or that, it's a nationwide issue.
Mark, you say San Diego is down 300 officers.
Yes, that's correct.
Has it had an effect?
It's been a horrible effect. The defunding plan has failed. It's a complete disaster. Our police are less safe, and the neighborhoods that need police the most are the ones that most affected, because it's the neighborhoods that are underserved, the underserved populations that need police. They can't afford to pay for pricey private securities or high-end surveillance cameras.
No, they can't. They can't.
Those are the people that are suffering, and make no mistake about it. Defund means take away money from police that were already running on tight budgets anyway.
Yeah, we're already running tightly as it is, because now you have some police that are pulling double shifts, swing shifts, all types of stuff. I mean, I saw it happening even in the healthcare sector, and if it's happening in the healthcare sector, you can bet your butt it's happening in the police sector.
So this guy makes the case that defund the police does hurt the police departments and that their budgets were already tight. They already had to do a lot with not that much money, and that causes all these other problems.
Then you have to train officers properly, and you have
$1 bazillion
to
in training, $1 bazillion in cultural competency training, $1 bazillion in body cameras, $1 bazillion in all these things. And nothing has been done.
Crime is up. Your
what's planned,
program
because
made
the vast
crime go
majority
up.
of American
Your
cities
program
have
made
not
crime go up.
defunded.
And in response, we have this lady deciding to make up numbers. You had $1 bazillion for this and $1 bazillion for that. You have all this money out the wazoo. I don't know why you're complaining about money being removed. We decided as activists, because we hate police, that you have too much money. Therefore, you should be able to do your jobs completely and competently based on the budget cuts that we dealt to you.
Yes.
It just has not happened.
Crime has gone up.
That's just a mistruth. Defunding has just not happened. I'm sorry.
So I love the fact that they're yelling at each other at this point, because she's like, they haven't defunded.
Holy shit. Brownie. They're going crazy, Brownie. Should I take a break and let you go outside, huh? You ready to go outside? Yeah. We're going to go outside, guys. We'll be right back.
Gonna be a good boy. Gonna be a good boy when we cut those toenails and take your bath, huh? Come on.
I do, Brownie. Come on. I know. See, my grandfather doesn't understand y'all. And, I was going to tell y'all that, listen, my grandfather is worried about me still being streaming or being on YouTube because he's worried about them still sending the cops and stuff. Well, just know that nothing's ever going to be discussed on here unless it's theoretical or for educational and informational purposes only. It's never going to be about my real life or anything like that unless I explicably state otherwise. Hey. I've been blocking them all, and come on, Brownie. I've been blocking them all, and I've been unsubscribing to them all. Brandy, where you at? Oh, you're right there. Okay. Now listen, guys. Here's the thing. My grandfather earlier, when he was visited by the worker, I need y'all to hear this. See, he was visited by the worker. The worker told him that the best way to deal with this would be to, get off of it completely. Well, let's say I got off and deleted this account. I can't delete my 2007 account. And this account I've had since 2009 and have a whole bunch of bot material on it and everything else. And all my videos would still be up in one form or another. I don't think they would stop. And here's the thing. Filthy Animal and the other ones, whoever's calling my place that, like my landlords and bothering them and stuff and doing other things like that, to our neighbors. Some of our neighbors are complaining about having their Facebooks messed with. Y'all need to really stop, because all you're trying to do is to get more heat on us, because you already got the heat with making the cops come 6-7 times now. We pray they don't come anymore. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to say you can't do anything. I'm not going to report your videos. I'm not going to do nothing. You're going to get a completely non-interference from me from now on, as long as you'll do the same to me. As long as I don't do anything to you, y'all shouldn't do anything to me. And so I'm not going to be reporting none of your shit, nothing. Make whatever you want. Just leave my grandpa and my real life alone. That's all I got to say. If y'all could make sure that some way that comes about, people in the chat, I'd appreciate it.
They haven't defunded, and this is a very common talking point that you hear across the left wing, that you didn't actually do the left wing policies enough. You didn't actually pull enough money away from the police, so you can't blame the rise in crime on us, even though when we started advocating for these policies, people predicted a rise in crime and then the rise in crime happened, you can't just draw that one-to-one comparison because we decided to make safe harbor for criminals with all these different reforms that are not even necessarily defunding the police, but they also have negative impacts and they're also very pro-criminal, like bail reform. Bail reform statewide in New York did not cut the budget for police, but what it did do was make sure that these criminals get released automatically same day. Now, they also did budget cuts for the police here and there in the NYPD and in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, but again, we're going to get into that just a little bit later. Hold on to your hats, people, and if you don't have a hat, go out and buy one, put it in your hand.
Here we go. Here we go.
And hold on to it.
But at least in LA, budgets were temporarily reduced. Most of the reduction was replaced with overtime with the officers they had, or the reduction was part of a citywide reduction.
So this is the nonsensical point that is brought up often by the left wing, and Dr. Phil dropping his bastedness in order to bring it up is really disappointing.
And most of the defunding diversion or reduction was regained the next year. So there hasn't really been a defunding of the
In some cases, I think Dr. Phil.
Now, while in a certain sense this is true, you can look at certain police budgets that were cut in the height of the George Floyd riots, only to have their funding restored a year later. Therefore, everything should be all good in the hood, but in reality, that is not how it works. If you cut the budgets of your police, if you start putting out all these reforms, all this anti-police propaganda from the city council, from the state legislature, and that causes hundreds of officers, or in the NYPD's case, thousands of officers to resign or retire, returning the dollar amount to where it was before you started doing all this nonsense does not magically make those officers remanifest. I mean, the NYPD actually canceled the recruiting class, and a bunch of other city police departments did so the same, so even trying to replenish in terms of raw numbers with the officers is not easily done when you cut recruiting off at the knees and you lost all of these veteran officers. Also, the officers that are coming in, the new recruits, even if you try to broaden your recruiting class, are just not going to have the skills necessary to be as effective as what you lost. So that 1 year of reducing funding, that 1 year of canceling a recruiting class, that 1 year of incentivizing officers to go into early retirement, to resign, etc., to leave the police department, is going to have negative effects on your department for years. There's going to be long-term consequences for this because you drive down people's aspiration to become officers, you get lower quality candidates, and because so many officers left at the same time due to the fact that you instituted all these left-wing reforms, you're going to end up recruiting from a weaker and weaker pool of candidates. And since it's a nationwide thing, every department is going to be competing for fewer and fewer candidates, which means they're going to be of lower quality. So yeah, saying dollar amount went down but then went back up is not a solution to any of the issues I just laid out for you.
When you have 9% inflation and gas prices that were pushing $10 a gallon in Los Angeles, and you leave the police budget the same, when healthcare goes up, when food prices go up, and you have these,
So
everything went up.
what's your point?
And my point is,
What's
by
your
not adding money, you're just defunding them just by regular economics.
Now, he makes the point that because of inflation, because of all these other issues that are going on with the police department, that returning the dollar amount to the same previous dollar amount, not counting for inflation, isn't really restoring funding. This is also a good point. But overall, the issues that I brought up are still applicable even if you did adjust it for inflation, restore the police budget to exactly where it was prior to the George Floyd riots.
People want to blame defund, which just did not happen.
And see, you can't do that. You can't. They want to act like that they've been blamed and everything, and it's not about that. They have, like, look what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse having to do what he did when they started the riots and stuff. Like,
In any significant degree across the country, that's just not true. On the rise in crime.
It did happen in a
it was true.
significant way. It caused officers to leave the police forces, and yes, it is a contributing factor to the criminality that we've seen spike nationwide. And by the way, we actually have a legitimate
100% facts what he just said there.
example of defund the police. I did a whole video on it. It was out of New Orleans, which actually did this before the George Floyd riots, due to the fact that they ran out of budget and all that. They froze the police budget. They ended up cutting the funding eventually, and they reduced the number of officers that they had from 1,200 to 900. Now in New Orleans, carjackings are at all-time highs. They leapfrogged a bunch of other cities for the top spot in terms of murder rate, and if you have an issue, if you need to file a police report, they don't have enough people to come out and take those reports, so you're just suggested to file those reports online.
Yeah, like how would you guys like to have that type of policing where you live? Anybody? Hands? Show of hands? Anyone?
So if you want to learn about how cutting your police force down to the bare bones actually results in a dramatic increase in crime, and I know New Orleans was bad before, but it's even worse now, then go watch that video and learn about that in full. That is the legacy of defund the police. Those are the consequences of the policies that these buffoonish left-wingers advocate for.
Happened because the economic pandemic came hot on the heels of the coronavirus pandemic, which means that people that were housing secure became more housing insecure or homeless. People that were food insecure became more food insecure or starving. When we do not address people's basic needs and we force people to make a living,
A whole different subject.
underground, you're going to see a spike in crime. So defund hit the streets the same time as the economic pandemic did, but defund did not cause the spike in crime.
So this woman tries to make the case that it's actually
I'm going to say it did.
Poverty, and we need to arrest poverty, and if only we could put out an APB on poverty, somebody could tell us what poverty was wearing, and the cops could go out and arrest that poverty, throw it in jail, we're gonna put it on trial, give it a death sentence, and that would solve all the problems. But this woman responds with, I've seen the shoplifting videos, I've seen the shoplifting in person, these people are stealing alcohol and all sorts of stuff that are not necessities, they're not Aladdin, stop pretending that they're Aladdin.
It absolutely did do something. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in stores where people walk in and it's not food, it's alcohol, clothes. And there was one woman and I confronted her and said, put it back. And she said, no. I said, well, I'm calling the police. And she laughed. She goes, they won't show up. You don't have enough of them, which is true.
What would you say if I told you that police calls, 911 calls for violent crime make up approximately 5% of the calls that police departments get?
This retort is so unbelievably and unbearably stupid. It kind of defies the logic that a human being that is allegedly sentient would say it. She's like, did you know that around 5% of the calls are 911 calls related to violent crime? Just 5%. Therefore, we don't need the police for 95% of situations. Let's be clear about something. If somebody breaks into your car and steals your stuff, they may have not punched you in the face, but that is a legitimate crime. If somebody steals your bike, if somebody is shoplifting, if somebody robs a bank, but they don't hurt anybody, guess what? That's still a serious crime. It still has serious consequences to it. Just because somebody doesn't punch you in the face doesn't mean that's no big deal, and our issue is we need to deploy the social workers. So that's a stupid point. It's a buffoonish point.
Okay, well, hold on. And you're exactly right. There are about 10 million arrests per year. 80% of them are for nonviolent.
But you don't think that woman had a right to call the police on her if for stealing that stuff? She was in the right. She was trying to do the right thing.
Crimes. Less than 5% are for violent crimes. And your point is what?
I love the way that Dr.
Your point is mute, woman.
Phil asked this question. He's like, your point is what? Who the hell cares about that point? What are you trying to say? That doesn't mean anything. And the lady has to deflect to, oh, the police aren't very good at solving certain problems, and we don't need them to be the answer to all social ills, and blah, 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 but shut up.
Maybe we don't need them to be the answer to all social ills. I'll agree with that, but basically, yeah, shut up.
My point is that if we stop utilizing police to be the answer to every single social ill we have, which, by the way, they're not very good at doing, we redirect those resources, pay people living wage jobs, and to be able to go out and respond to things like mental health crisis, to substance abuse issues, to towing cars, to...
I agree with stuff like that. But you don't take away the police's budget. You create new budgets for those. You may take some away from the police budget that's overused. I'll agree. I'll come out in the middle on this. I'm more so on actual justice warrior side, but still at the same time, I do think there does need to be, the police don't need to handle all this stuff, like being able to to quote, as Filthy Animal called 5150 in me. You know, they said that I meant that as something else, which I did not mean it as something else. I said it to mean what exactly they had threatened me with, filthy in them, which would mean it's putting you in on a psychiatric hold. I definitely think that we could use other services and like relying on your own outpatient mental health, like I have myself. For stuff
Animal
like
control.
that instead of the police.
Will be able to respond to violent crime.
Well,
but
can I
that
say
is not
this?
what is.
Yeah, they can always respond to violent crime. They're always not wanting to go up toe to toe to that. Most police don't want to, unless they're just wanting to see some action, because that's dangerous for them. They could end up getting shot or something, you know? That's a dangerous job.
Happening.
Do you realize the type of person it has to take to be a police officer, woman? I bet you don't even know.
I'm sorry, but no, absolutely not, no way. I'm all in favor of training police officers, or at least a specific unit of police officers, like the Crisis Intervention Team in San Antonio, to deal.
They have to be able to take a lot of stuff. Really. I mean, a lot of stuff. A lot of backlash. A lot of criticism. A lot of scrutiny. And they should. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, they have a lot thrown at them.
Deal with mental health issues, but the idea that we're going to send out a bunch of civilians on these 911 calls to deal with dangerous individuals is...
Yeah, sometimes people are too dangerous or whatever that you can't just send civilians out.
Just not a solution to...
But there are situations, though, where the police come out where they aren't doing... I mean, he's probably not going to make that point, but I'm going to make that point here for you. There are situations where the police come where they're really not needed.
Anything, it's ridiculous, it's absurd. And by the way, when you get a 911 call, just like when you pull somebody over, you have no idea most of the time when that interaction is going to go south. So there's no way to know whether or not you're going to be able to deploy a social worker to this nonviolent situation, or you need a police officer that's going to have to respond to force based solely on the information that you get in the beginning of the call.
But what if it's a false 911 call? That's what I'm saying. There should be, unless there's clear hostility at a threat, I think they should come down and tone it down a little bit or something, you know, and not be so aggressive with the way they do things.
Which is why we deploy police officers. Now, they actually bring on a guy, and again, you could watch the whole segment if you want to hear it, who talks about how he was quite literally talked off the ledge by the police. It's a nice story, but I don't think an individual example really
Well, that's great. No, that is a good story.
Hammers this home. I think that what we need to do is look at the impacts of police in their totality. This is the same or equivalent to saying this bad instance shows that we need to defund the police, which honestly gets us in a lot of trouble. We need to focus overall on the
Let's
person.
skip ahead a little
midnight
bit.
Basketball. But then with mental issues, let me tell you,
For the police officers did not prevent that.
this guy is a professor at a university. This guy teaches children, and that is the low level of intellect that he is armed with.
Well, let me hear what he said.
Restored yourself to the bastedness that I claimed you were earlier on in this video.
When we talk about policing, we're already too late. At every issue, at every junction, we're talking about something that's too late, that we have not funded, that we have not addressed as a social ill, that we have defunded over and over again. If we're talking about a police officer responding to a rape, there's already been a rape. That's the problem. And the police officer did not prevent that. The funding for the police officers did not prevent that.
This guy is a professor at a university. This guy teaches children, and that is the low level of intellect that he is armed with going into that profession.
Yeah,
when we talk
seriously.
about a rape, the police didn't prevent that rape.
No shit, they
Therefore, there's really no need for...
That's his argument. Seriously, like, yeah, I want to skip ahead
You
some.
need people to arrest the people committing the crimes. So you need a agency, you need somebody to respond to the crimes after the fact. Obviously, you're not going to prevent each and every individual crime, but you need people to investigate the crimes. You need people to arrest the people committing the crimes so that they could put on trial and receive consequences for that. Just because the police aren't...
Let's hear from the police guy for a second. So I'm not going to
crime,
do
and
his
I
whole video.
defy you to go on the internet and look up the phrase shooting at midnight basketball to understand how this does not actually solve the problem.
If you're driving down the freeway and you see a highway patrol officer on the freeway, you slow down.
No, many people don't.
No, they slow down. And when you see a cop in a parking lot, people will probably not want to do a crime right when their cop is there.
This guy's so unbelievably stupid. If you're speeding and you spot a cop car, you slow down. That's all this guy said. And he said, no, many people don't. Many people don't. Yeah, those people are stupid and they end up with tickets. That's the response. But yeah, this is something that happens.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Everybody, when they see a cop or a cop gets behind them, they get a little bit nervous. They end up driving a little bit differently.
Yeah, and we all know what that is. You drive a little bit nervously and differently, and you end up getting pulled over because you acted too suspicious. Let's skip forward a little bit, guys.
Some kind of tool to defend yourself, a force multiplier like a firearm. But again, we're not going to get that good answer from this person. We're going to get such a stupid answer that I just have to play it for you.
What your question is presuming is a world as it exists currently, right? And so when I say, oh, I don't believe there's a role for, that there's a need for police, what I'm saying is that there has been so little investment in creating the conditions under which police would not be necessary, and that is the issue.
Yeah, so this buffoon, again, professor at Hunter College, somebody who teaches the youth, says, listen, Dr. Phil, your question about a break-in, your very straightforward question about somebody breaking in to do you harm in your own home, presupposes that we live in the current world that we live in. My issue,
which we do,
is that we haven't spent enough money on creating a world or thinking about or imagining or having a conversation about a world where police wouldn't be needed.
You can't do that unless you got a cooperation, and you can't have that big of a global cooperation, at least not right now in this life.
So what you need to do is go up to the burglar and say, hey, listen, right now in the here and now,
don't
you're
break
about to
in my
stab me
house.
in my heart. But I want you to think about a world where you wouldn't be doing that as you I'm dying. I got stabbed in the heart.
And people are creations of the society in which they live in. And if you are a society that has such massive inequality,
this dude is such a dreamer.
And you are a society that is based on racial and gendered hierarchies. And you are a society that deprives people of the resources.
Oh my God, gender hierarchies.
That they need to live.
That's all we needed to hear.
Housing, clean water, food, all of these things that are part of an equitable society. You're talking about people that will do desperate things in order to survive. And so you're not solving anything by arresting those people. You're not solving anything by shooting and killing those people.
Yeah, so his response is to cry about how, oh, we don't have an equitable society. We're denying these people resources by not wanting to get killed for those resources. It's so sad, and you don't solve anything by arresting the person who come into your house and is ready to kill you and your family and your wife and all of that. What you need to do is think about equity and think about the racial hierarchy and all these other esoteric problems that are totally, definitely related and not ridiculous and absurd. And Dr. Phil actually lays the smackdown on this person, and we gotta play that clip because we're getting back to Basted, as the kids like to say it, Dr. Phil.
I agree with you 100% on society's failures about how that person became a criminal.
So Dr. Phil's just wrong right here. He shouldn't agree with this part 100%. But again, that's just a prelude. He's throwing out the little bit of bait before he snaps the trap on him.
My point is we also live in the here and now. And if someone invades my home and has my wife held hostage in the bedroom tonight, I don't give two about where they came from tonight. What I care about is a solution tonight. That doesn't mean that we don't need to solve the problem so my grandchildren don't get held hostage in their bedrooms 20 years from now. But when you say we don't need police because of developmental failures, that doesn't solve the problems that are occurring tonight, tomorrow night, the next night. Those things have to be dealt with.
Yeah, Dr. Phil just nuked this guy's face off in the only way that you can do on daytime television. And what a lot of these people fail to understand, you can focus on where that virus originated from, whether it's the Rhesus monkeys or the CIA or whatever conspiracy theory you have related to that, because that's the root cause. But in reality, solving that root cause in the monkeys or in the CIA or wherever doesn't make sense in a logical way to even trust that these, especially when you have limited amounts of resources. Not to mention all these root causes like poverty and inequality and all that all fall apart under scrutiny. We've seen crime go up as incomes have gone up. We've seen crime go down as incomes have gone down during recessions and all that. So it doesn't make any sense in a logical way to even trust that these root causes are legit. But
you can't tell just because one thing goes one way doesn't mean
to prevent people from committing crimes. And by the way, that actually leads you to be able to address issues like poverty in a much more significant and substantial way, because a lot of times one of the causes of poverty is lawlessness that drives up.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Costs for these people to live. It drives down their options in terms of stores and all kinds of things, which reduces jobs, reduces investments, increases insurance premiums, and causes all kinds of negative consequences to people living in low-income neighborhoods that are afflicted by crime that you don't have to deal with, or you could mitigate by addressing the crime first. Technique that lefties often try, which is talk in their weaselly, nasally voice or anything like that. But one of the ways you know for sure that Dr. Phil humbled this man, humiliated him, shamed him, and named him, put him on national television and blasted him, is the fact that they cut to Dr. Phil's wife thirsting after him as he was talking. I mean, look, this is daytime television. It's supposed to be meant for a family audience, but I think we're all going to have to write letters to the FCC based on the way that Dr. Phil's wife is looking at him and the fact that they decided to show us this, because apparently Dr. Phil saying, "I want somebody to go save my wife," is a huge turn on for this woman. And again, I was not ready for it. I'm sorry that I have to point it out to you guys, because I don't think you guys. Defund the police is idiotic. It always has been idiotic.
And I agree with you. It is idiotic. Y'all make sure to check out Actual Justice Warrior. And he's got merch that's not stolen from someone else. He's a good guy. Check him out. Here's his channel. He's a good dude. I like all his videos. Anyways, I want to thank all people that came out today, even the 16 viewers that are here. Hey, Army. Hey, Jen. Hey guys, if y'all are going to go over to No Life Mike's or someone, or over to Iceman's, I'll meet y'all over there. We'll hang out and talk and text, or we can talk on Instagram, whatever. But I'm going to end the stream, y'all, okay? Y'all have a good rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'm going to end the stream out. I'm not going to stream anymore today. I'm just going to take it easy. But like I said, I'll hang out. But y'all have a good rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. God bless. See y'all later. Peace. Or I'll see y'all over at ICE's or somewhere. Peace.
I